I love in 7 sporting heaven. The angels are here, Big Jack and Lou, fluttering around the world of sport crew. Yes, here's another sporting stew. Andy, it's over to you.
Thank you, Uncle, and welcome to this very special Silver Jubilee edition of World of Sport. While you at home may be celebrating 25 years of arguments, burnt Sunday roasts and marital tiffs, we're planning to turn the clock back, enjoy some good old nostalgia, and welcome back the people who've made it all possible. It all started here in the main studio at HSV7 on a Saturday morning in 1959. This very studio with Ron, Lou and Uncle and all the team. Tonight, it's a very lonely place. It has seen the champions of 4 decades. It's been the meeting place of prime ministers and punters, jockeys and journalists, the fleet of foot and the heroes of 25 chilly Melbourne winters. World of Sport has never been a formal show. It's always been aimed at the families who make up this state we live in and been presented in a format that makes us as much a part of Sunday morning as Mum's cooking. Traditionally, the show has occupied its Sunday morning time slot. Tonight, we bow to another tradition, the Davis Cup, and we'll be going live to Brisbane tomorrow morning. Tonight, however, the greats have gathered. They have been for some time, for a birthday celebration that we hope to enjoy here as much as you will at home. Before we join the festivities across the road in our lavish new Studio 7, let's turn back the years. Let's go back, way back, before the Man on the Moon and colour TV. And remember,
yesterday, when I was young, yesterday, when I was young, the taste of life was sweet, like rain upon my tongue. I teased at life as if it were a foolish game, like a gentle breeze would tease a candle flame. 1,000 dreams I dreamed, the splendid things I planned. I always built a lass on weak and shifting sand. I lived by night and shunned the naked light of day. And only now I see how the years they ran away. Yesterday, when I was young, so many drinking songs were waiting to be sung. So many wayward pleasures lay in store for me, and so much pain my dazzled eyes refused to see.
And he's put it through and scores it. Oh, what a spell! Beast is down!
For 1983.
The world champion, Ron Costello.
And now the 25th anniversary edition of World of Sport.
thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed. And Ron, I know it's an informal show and it's going to be right throughout the evening as the whole team behind me, the team that has taken you through 25 years of television, and we sincerely hope yet another 25. But Ron, firstly, if we can kick the balloons away and the streamers for a moment, is it at all possible, do you think? Can we fit 25 years of all sports in just 3 or 4 hours?
Oh, I don't think so, Sandy. The thing I'm so happy about is what a wonderful night it is, and I suppose it's worth 25 years of rehearsal, isn't it?
It certainly is, and
we've finally got it right.
let's hope we can get it right tonight. And on that note,
If I could just wear my other hat for a moment, I'm interested to know who approved the budget.
yes, I think that was due to land on the desk Monday morning. Ron, I think it's an opportune time while we've still got the bands here, and we'll strike up a song that I'm sure you will agree is quite applicable.
Well, the spotlight is really on Channel 7 tonight as we celebrate this 25th anniversary of World of Sport here at Studio 7. And it's like the bottom of the rainbow. The special guests are still arriving. Mr. and Mrs. Keith Stackpole, Mr. and Mrs. Sid Patterson. Keith, come in here with Pat and Sid. Get everyone in. It really means something to the people of Victoria. World of Sport, it's been around, it seems, forever.
Not only to the people, Steve, but also I think to all the sportsmen of Victoria too. I think World of Sport's always given a tremendous opportunity, particularly to the up-and-comer in sport.
Pat, a few Sunday dinners spoiled?
Only a few.
And Sid, you've been on both sides of the camera as a viewer and as a participant over many years.
Yes, about the last 30 years as a viewer, but it's great of a Sunday to have a look at the... we don't get much bites, but we see a fair bit of football, you know.
Well done, Sid.
Francis, what about you? Do you enjoy the show?
Yes, we always watch it. It's good.
Well, it's very chilly out here. I think you better go inside and warm up and enjoy the show. Back to you, Sandy.
Right, thank you, Steve, very much. And as you can imagine, being, of course, a World of Sport, it is still basically, at the moment, organised chaos. But our live audience who are going to be with us right throughout the evening are settling themselves down, and we're going to be in for a great night here. And as I said earlier, let's hope that you will really enjoy it at home. In fact, it is almost starting to feel, even at this stage, like a Sunday morning. Gorton, Holt and Menzies, a pretty fair line-up in any team. And over the last 25 years, these 3 Prime Ministers have found time to drop in for a chat with their mates right here at World of Sport. Our present Prime Minister, Bob Hawke, would have liked to join us tonight. He's a sports lover, like every one of us. He couldn't make it, but did send this message instead.
Well, I'm very proud to have been asked to give a message to this 25th anniversary program of World of Sport. As a person who moved to Melbourne in 1958, my time there has almost been synonymous with the program. And I want to send my congratulations to you, Case, and to all the boys there, Uncle Dougie, Lou, Jack Dyer and Wolfer, all those characters who've not only made this an institution, which it truly is, but the source of great enjoyment, as well as at times information and inspiration to people. I think it's grown beyond those who simply are football addicts or addicts to sport generally. You've provided your own spontaneous brand of humour, and may I say that what I've enjoyed over the years about it is the, while you're tough and direct and so on, there has been, I think, a constructive approach about it. There's no nastiness. On the contrary, there's a great sense of joy that you obviously have with one another, and that's transmitted itself over the years to millions and millions of people, not only in Victoria but around Australia. I think, Case, that you and the station and all the men and women who are associated with this program are to be congratulated upon its excellence, its quality, the happiness, the enjoyment that you've given to so many people. I do congratulate you personally, and I think I speak for a lot of my fellow Australians in doing that. And in congratulating you on the first 25 years, I wish the program and you individually have made it such a success all the best into the future.
Prime Minister, Mr. Bob Hawke. Well, you will no doubt be delighted to know that we do have, of course, all our regular segments tonight, but we are also going back in time. However, let's get straight into the action now and have a look at some great highlights from the two big games this afternoon.
Mazda, makers of Australia's toughest range of commercial vehicles, present Mazda Football Highlights.
Because Dippy had a minute
The Hawks really put the Tigers in a spin as Dippy turns and snaps.
Swings in towards goal. It's long and it's good. Great goal, Dippy.
The ball just didn't bounce right for the Tigers, and here's Jimmy Jess in all sorts of trouble.
It's gone the wrong way. He swings round and misses. Well.
A hard knock for Tuck.
Can't get away. Picked up by Brereton. His shot goes straight up in the air.
Down he goes.
Over the top, and it looks like Kennedy who fires.
And Kennedy goals.
Michael Tuck.
Bad news for the Hawks as Michael Tuck leaves the ground. Let's hope he's okay. But here are the Hawks in flight. Dippy across to Peter Curran.
Now a chance for a shot at goal. And it's Curran firing at the goals. There's another one to Hawthorn.
And here's another one to Curran. He had a field day.
Now to Curran, a long shot at goal, and this will be okay too, I should imagine. Yes, another goal. Mad sort of
From the long to the short. The shortest kick of the day, but it brought up 6 points.
And it'll be Kennedy kicking that goal, I think. Yes, he's going to pay a goal.
And at last the Tigers break the big dry spell.
Now Waitman can go over the top to Paul in the square. He does go over the top, and at last the Tigers, like the Mallee regions, have broken the drought.
Long hand pass.
Well, the Hawks were not perturbed. They just powered on. McCarthy to Eade across the green, and another long goal.
Hawthorn as he has a shot for goal. It's a long kick. It's a beauty. A goal. Oh, how about that for a kick, Sandy?
Down there, they haven't
McCarthy again, this time to Curran, and it's goal number 5.
He booted 4. Make that 5 as he continues on his merry way, and so too to the Hawks at the moment.
So easy for the Hawks as Kennedy takes the knock from Jess and goal.
John Kennedy. And how easy is that? 5 goals to Kennedy.
To Windy Hill, and that's the banner that congratulates World of Sport for 25 years of promoting their and our favourite game.
25 years of service.
Down to the action. Bombs away. Donnell and Madden.
Full forward zone, and Madden will put it through. It's a goal to Simon Madden.
Here's Wilson getting 2 for the price of 1.
Snaps towards goal. It's a nice looking kick from Gary Wilson, and he brings up his first goal.
Loads of blue on out there. I was looking at the scoreboard and something happened. Well,
so down he went after the kick.
Distracted.
And as I said, 2 for the price of 1.
Not very often. Wilson trying for his second goal. Oh, he's missed it. Badly missed it.
Goal, Jack.
Danaher this time. Taps it down. Recovers beautifully.
Danaher snap. It'll be a great goal, I feel. A wonderful goal by Terry Danaher.
Well, what can stop the Bombers?
Here's the Bombers going round the boundary line through Merv Neagle.
From the forward pocket, a difficult shot at goal. It's going well, it's going close, it's going through. What a good goal.
And could this be a junior Jacko in the crowd? Watch the finger spin. Well, who knows? Some great highlights out of the 2 games, and our winner this week in the Mazda Football Highlights from Hawthorn, their young star who was such a key up forward in Peter Curran.
Congratulations to this week's winner of the World of Sport Mazda Footy Highlights. He wins $500. Compliments of you, Mazda E. One tough mate.
And welcome back to our 25th anniversary of World of Sport. Well, the famous and the infamous are with us tonight. The champions of the last 25 years are mingling, reliving some great moments, and I should imagine telling some absolute whoppers as well. Well, over the last quarter century, each has been interviewed by Ron Casey. So who better to sort the fact from the fiction than our roving interviewer himself, Ron Casey. Ron?
Right, Sandy. Well, we are having a great party tonight. There's no doubt about that, and we're going to meet a lot of the guests who have joined us here tonight for this very happy occasion. And I suppose, Judy Patching, I've got to say welcome to you firstly, because, golly, there have been some wonderful Olympic personalities through the World of Sport studio since the first Olympic Games that World of Sport was involved in would have been 1960, Rome.
Yes, Case, yeah, that's 1 year before. Yeah. And I'd be the oldest person here, I reckon.
Well, I never said that, Judy. No, you certainly set a pace around the track in the morning anyway. Judy, I know that Los Angeles is not far away. We'll come to that in a moment, but you know, some of the great personalities have been through our studio. I mentioned 1960, Herb Elliott, of course.
Yeah, Herb's here tonight.
He's here, the superstar of 1960, 1964 in Tokyo.
Yeah, well, okay, unfortunately Betty Cuthbert's not here, Ron, but I understand she's going to LA. Yeah. But that was, and of course Clarkie's not here tonight, yeah. And whilst everybody didn't realise that he ran a great race in Tokyo, running and getting a bronze medal, he's still a very fine athlete.
1968, of course, was Tokyo, was Mexico City.
Yeah, and I can remember well you and Lou at the 10,000 metres, and that was Ronnie Clark's greatest run, if ever. And of course, Ralph Dubell winning the gold, and Maureen Caird in the hurdles, Pam Ryan coming second, Peter Norman splitting Smith and Carlos. We did terrifically well, Case.
1972, of course, was Munich, and the terrible cloud over Munich, and a little story about that terrible incident. Judy Patching, as manager of the team, said to me the day before, just in case you need me, here's my direct phone number. And I got a call at 5 o'clock in the morning from Australia that the terrible disaster had occurred. I phoned you if you knew anything about it, and you said, just so happens the Australian doctor has just come back, and he was outside the Israeli village when it occurred. Do you remember that?
And yes, I was with him, Case, and the extraordinary part about it was that Raylene Boyle, who made her first entry into the Olympic Games in '68, was in that team again. And Raylene Boyle and also the other 400 metres runner, whose name escapes me at the moment, Judy Pollock, Judy Amor, they were about only 15 yards away from when it all happened. And we came back into the village. We used to run round each morning, and they stopped us with Sten guns and bulldozers and everything like that. But they let us in because they knew who we were. And so it was a very bad day. 14 people died. Tragic.
Terrible. 76, of course, Montreal, and the frightening security of Montreal. Still, you know, you can still remember that, and it made the Moscow security feel fairly simple, wasn't it?
It's true. In case that was the first games that we didn't finish up front in any particular event. The hockey boys lost to New Zealand, winning a silver medal. Johnny Bertrand got a bronze in the yachting, but we didn't get a gold medal, and that really made us sit up and take notice.
Los Angeles, here we come.
Yeah, and we'll be doing very, very well indeed.
Judy, good luck with the team, and we look forward to talking to you on World of Sport when you get back.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Jack Ailing, come on, Jack. Our very first turf commentator. Golly, Jack. Ace, it's great to have you here tonight.
Great to be here, Ron, and thank you very much. It's a memorable occasion.
Still finding plenty of winners?
Oh, well, I'm trying to, Ron.
They were funny days, those early days, the Saturday morning and then on Sunday?
Yes, they were wonderful days. I'll never forget them. I've always think of them with the greatest of happiness. And I think the night that when we started, I was broken. Tonight I'm wearing a New York Stock Exchange tie.
What's that mean, Jack? You found a couple of winners today, did you?
That means that I've come a long way.
Terrific. Ian Mecca, great to have you with us, Ian. Great to be here. By golly, we covered some pretty dramatic stories with you, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, Ron.
A lot of fun, yes. And I must say that during very difficult times for Ian, his very generous cooperation with us all at World of Sport, and we took all those films and all the rest of it. You were very generous with your help under a lot of pressure. We've never forgotten that, Ian.
No, it's always a great pleasure to be at World of Sport because it's one of the great sporting places of the world, I believe.
And still hitting a good golf ball?
Played today, and it was very, very ordinary, Ron, I can promise you.
Well, a couple of football teams played today. It was a bit ordinary too. Great to have you with us, Ian.
Thank you,
terrific.
Ron.
Just before we go back to Sandy, one of my favourite champions, he doesn't mind me saying that, Johnny Premiership.
Thanks,
Johnny,
Ron.
great to have you with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks very much. Good gathering here.
It is.
Yes.
You look as fit as you did that night in London when you beat Legra for the world title.
I only look.
Yeah, well, you look
I
pretty
only
good
look
today,
it.
mate.
I only look it. I don't feel it. But I haven't been too bad, thanks, Ron. And keeping out of mischief.
Are you?
I think.
That's good.
Yes.
Have you seen any good fights lately?
Yes, I'm a strong follower of Graham Brook,
Yes.
who I believe has great potential. One guy that I have not seen yet I have heard about quite often is Lester Ellis,
Yes.
and I look forward to the
saw him last
opportunity.
week and he's
Did
pretty
you?
good.
He's great, so I look forward to seeing him next time.
Johnny, great to have
Right.
you with us.
Thank
and,
you.
Have a good
See you
night.
soon.
Right, back to you, Sandy.
Right, thank you, Ron. Ron Casey out in our VIP lounge. And Ron certainly hasn't forgotten about World of Sport because he's now put us some 15 minutes late. But nevertheless, on we shall go. Let's check Footy Bet and see how you fared in your two sides this afternoon. The winners you wanted were Hawthorn Selection 23 for a dividend of $5.75. Essendon Selection 10 for $8.10. Now, the double today, incidentally, returned $68 even for 23 and 10, Hawthorn and Essendon. And a reminder too about the Footy Quad, because you want the two sides today. You want the winner tomorrow from Footscray and Swans, that game coming live to you on 7 tomorrow afternoon. And then on Tuesday afternoon, when Victoria plays Western Australia in Perth, you want that fourth leg. And that, incidentally, too, is coming your way live and exclusively to 7. We'll take a break, be back with more on our 25th anniversary in just a moment.
In the early 60s, our World of Sport panellists mingled with the footy public, gauging their views. Jack Dyer quizzed this young lady about the umpires.
And what do you think about the umpire? I think you'd have a word to say about him.
Shocking.
He's shocking,
We still won, so I can't blame the umpire.
What about the conditions? They were bad, you know.
Oh, but all the grounds be the same.
So do you think Hawthorn's a rough side?
No.
They're not a rough side?
No.
Gee, you must like your football rough.
I do.
You do. Thank you very much indeed.
Welcome back to our birthday celebrations. You may have noticed in the opener our magnificent 25th anniversary cake. We shall be cutting that a little bit later on in the evening, but special thanks to John Fay out there at Jackson's Restaurant, who did a wonderful job. John, many thanks, and I can assure you the 400 or 500 people here will get a taste and will certainly enjoy it. Unfortunately, Peter Landy cannot be with us tonight because Pete's up in Brisbane for the Davis Cup. A disappointing day weather-wise today, but no doubt the action shall continue tomorrow. The first day, however, was indeed a great triumph for Australia, going to a 2-rubbers-to-love lead. Here's Peter and that report.
Well, here in Brisbane, it's been a very disappointing day for tennis fans wishing for play in the Davis Cup quarter-final between Australia and Italy. The doubles match, was called off at 11:15 after steady rain had fallen overnight and early this morning. The covers, as a matter of fact, late this afternoon was still on centre court and the rain was still tumbling down. Alan Stone, a very disappointing day, but of course we can only hope for better things tomorrow.
Yes, Peter, and I think the way the Italians performed in the singles yesterday, both going to 4 sets, I think the form that they displayed there, that they'll play pretty well in the doubles match tomorrow.
They did serve and volley fairly well, didn't they? Perhaps surprised a lot of people.
Yes, well, Kleppo we were led to believe was a strong serve volleyer, but I was a bit surprised to see how well Claudio Panatta played against Pat Cash. I thought he played very well in that match, and I think together they will put up pretty stern resistance against Edmondson and McNamee.
Edmondson and McNamee, though, Alan, so far undefeated in Davis Cup doubles, and both in their own right excellent doubles players.
Yes, they are, and coming into this tournament with good doubles form. Of course, Edmondson was a semi-finalist at Wimbledon, and McNamee was a finalist in the doubles there, so pretty hard to top that sort of form.
Were you surprised that Neil Fraser opted for that combination rather than Cash and McNamee, who were the runners-up to Fleming and McEnroe?
No, I wasn't really, Peter, because I think Mark Edmondson would be the first player that Neil Fraser would select in the doubles. I think he's the best doubles player in the Australian team.
Well, he's ranked 3 in the world at the moment in doubles, isn't he?
Yes, he is, and he'd be the first guy I'd pick for doubles, and I think that's why Neil Fraser selected him with his great form. And of course he's played with McNamee. I think they've played 4 or 5 doubles matches and have won all of them very convincingly. And Cash had a big, well, he had a lot of tennis at Wimbledon, so it was an ideal opportunity not to select him in the doubles.
All right, well, the situation is that the doubles will commence now at 12 noon tomorrow and the reverse singles at 10:30 on Monday. Now, we must say hello, Alan, to all the guys in World of Sport celebrating tonight the show's 25th anniversary. I know you've had fond memories of the show going in there.
Yes, a couple of times. It's been very good, and congratulations to everybody connected with the show.
World of Sport, Alan, is the only show that when it's been going for 5 minutes, it can be 3/4 of an hour late. So I can hardly wait to see what happens tonight. But to all the guys, to Ron and Uncle Doug, who have made the show a great success in the past 25 years, well done. And we can only hope and trust that it's going to go on for another 25 years. Happy birthday, World of Sport, from all in Brisbane.
Right, thank you, Peter. Peter Landy up there in Brisbane, talking with Alan Stone.
Plenty of action coming up for you, so we certainly hope that you can stay with us. No doubt many of you, as I mentioned in the opener, have sat at home and possibly argued over the roast who is the greatest of them all when it comes to the handball. A number of names spring to mind. Well, let's go back in time now, join Ron Casey and find out in 1984 who was the greatest of them.
And now on World of Sport, the greats have gathered for the first, the ultimate and long overdue World Championship in handball.
Yes, when these guys were players, they set some enormous scores in the finals each year, and we thought that it would be fitting for our 25th birthday show to invite three of the greatest competitors in our handball championship to come back to show us the techniques that put them right on top when they were players. And I refer to Ron Barassi, the current Melbourne coach, Barry Cable, the current North Melbourne coach, and accepting an invitation to come back from Western Australia, one of the all-time greats in the Victorian Football League, as he was in the Western Australian League. Welcome back, Graham Farmer. Now, the tosses have been made, and the competition is that Graham Farmer is to go first, Barry Cable second, and Ronald Dale Barassi third. And Graham Farmer, they're each to have 5 shots with each hand. And it's a winner-take-all. Graham Farmer, 27 feet's the distance. Sharon Ball's at the ready, and here we go. Graham Farmer first with the left hand. .24, 34, ooh, 41 for Graham Farmer. Barry Cable. Barry Cable with the famous number 9 that he carried so magnificently with North Melbourne. Seven. 14. 21. 28. 38. 38 for Barry Cable. Ron Barassi now. And he too using the right hand. The famous 31. Two sevens.
7, well done.
5, I'm sorry, it was called 5. Sorry. It was called 5, 12.
Seven.
19. Ooh. 26.
7.
For 33 at the halfway mark. Graham Farmer, 41. Barry Cable, 38. Ron Barassi, 33. 5 shots each with the opposite hand now, and Graham Farmer will go to the right hand. Graham Farmer, 41 points. Now to the right hand. 5 shots.
7.
48.
7.
For 55.
7.
For 62.
7.
For 69.
7.
For 76. Final score 76 for Graham Farmer. Barry Cable now. Barry goes to the left hand. Footballs, please.
Seven.
45.
7.
For 52. 10 for 62.
7.
69. 76. Ties the score with Graham Farmer. 76 each. Ron Barassi now. 33 points. Goes to the left hand. It's 44. 44 to win.
7.
For 40.
7.
47.
5.
For 52.
7.
For 59. The whole board.
10.
Right, the position is Ron Barassi is eliminated at 64 points. We have one of the greatest ruckmen of all time, Graham Farmer, with 76, one of the greatest rovers of all time with 76, and the normal handball competition conditions. 5 more shots now with the hand of the choice. If they're still tied, they must then go to the opposite hand. So, Graham, which hand?
Left hand.
Going with the left hand for 5 shots. With a tied score.
We'll double up, Jack.
7. 14. 21.
5.
26. For 33. Barry Cable now. Which hand? Left hand. 7 for Cable. 17. 24 in the tiebreaker. 34 in the tiebreaker and win. And 41 in the tiebreaker. Barry Cable wins from Graham Farmer and Ron Barassi. Can we have the 3 competitors down with Bob Davis, please?
Congratulations, Barry. Bad luck, Paul. And Ron, of course, you're on holidays. You're a bit out of practice.
Well, I was too, but it's good to see the younger man win.
Is he younger than you?
Well, I think he is. He better be. I coached him.
Oh, I see. But now the importance of handball. We've seen some magnificent handball tonight, and it's been brought into the game much more, hasn't it? Really?
Well, much more in the way of quantity and also quality. There are quite a few handball guys today who are nearly as good as these two, and these two in their time and maybe for all time were the best. But there are a lot of guys very close to these two, whereas that couldn't have been said 10, 15 years ago.
Well, it's said that Polly probably did more to bring handball in than anyone, and then Barry came along and, it was exactly the same thing. Would that be right, Barry?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that, and I agree entirely with Ron. I think the big thing is that the players are definitely better overall in handball today, whereas years ago there was about 3 or 4 on each side, or 1 or 2 who are real good at it, whereas today most players are very efficient at handball, and I always find that something that's really improved. There's no doubt about that.
Paul, what really brought you to the handball? What brought you to the skill? Why did you come into the handball?
Couldn't kick.
No, I was probably as good a kicker as a handball, but being a big, slow, cumbersome person, it was easier to get the ball and hand pass it than it was to get the ball, beat 2 or 3 players and kick it. And I think it really is the essence of the tall players to get the ball, get it down to the fast-moving players who then naturally will create the loose man by drawing players or by executing a decent kick. But I did it probably to suit my particular style.
Did you enjoy the game today?
Well, I would have loved to have won. I'm pleased I beat Ron, but Barry's won, and that's good. But it's got. I'd really like to thank Ron Casey for inviting me over here. It's great to be part of a sporting show that makes a lot of people feel good, and I think the participants, they come along here, coaches have been beaten, they come along and they get reassured and boosted up, and they make life a reality.
Reassure with Lou Richards.
Well, we are thrilled here at World of Sport to have three such outstanding champions give us such a great night here at the Handball. Thanks very much, Barry, Ron and Polly. Thanks.
I'm standing outside the St George Leagues Club, and this magnificent building that you can see in the background that makes Buckingham Palace look like the old tin shed outside the post office is the St George Leagues Club. I have with me today the manager of the St George Leagues Club, Mr Justice. Mr Justice, how long has this club been built?
Oh, actually, this one, the present building, Lou, we came in on the 1st of July, actually. And it's not completed as yet, as you can notice.
Looks pretty completed to me. We haven't got nothing like this in Melbourne.
No, there's quite a few more things to do yet, but when it is completed, I don't think there would be many to compare with it.
Lou and Case soon made themselves at home at St George's Leagues Club this day back in 1963. What started as a serious investigative piece on the effect of poker machines on VFL football ended up in a money-making proposition for little Lulu and an expensive afternoon for the boss. Carpet bowls seemed more their cup of tea. Sunday, the Swans tackle the Bulldogs with that same high-flying style that led them to victory Tuesday. Could this week bring the Swans their third consecutive win in 8 days? Find out when 7 Sport presents live and exclusive from the SCG, the Swans and the Bulldogs, 2:05 Sunday.
Baby! Yes, it's going to be a great clash. The Swans and the Bulldogs tomorrow afternoon on... Strangely enough, many people, when they think of World of Sport, they tend to think of bloopers or mistakes or whatever you like to call them. And I'm afraid we've all made them over the many years that the program has been running. But one man, as we saw just in that breaker before the commercial break, who asked the question, how long has the building been up? And the gentleman replied, it hasn't been finished yet, possibly is quite apt and suitable to introduce this next segment. Lou Richards, what about a round of applause for Lulu?
Thank you very much. And of course, may I say this firstly, the introduction of this show was just magnificent. I just felt tears in the eyes and a lump in the throat, and I think Uncle Doug was crying out the back there.
That's probably because someone took some of his chops or whatever.
Well, someone stole his 4 and 20 pie. That upset him very much.
Louis, let's go back over the years. You've seen a couple of classic happenings. Now, first of all, tell us about the day Percy Jones had a few problems.
Well, I think possibly one of the funniest things that's ever happened in football, Percy Jones was playing in the reserves when we were telecasting the match. Percy was going through a bad trot, and of course he went to kick for a goal, missed the ball and kicked the goal post. And that'll go down in history as one of the greatest missed kicks in the game.
Well, another piece of drama, and we certainly don't want to throw the wrong light on it, but happened when you, I believe, were calling a match with Ron Casey, and a gentleman was having a few problems on the boundary line.
Well, what happened, Ron Case and I were calling a match out at the Junction Oval. St Kilda were playing Essendon. It was a great game. It was nip and tuck right throughout the match. Very close and very exciting, a packed house, and some guy had fainted in the audience, in the crowd, and they used to pass him over the crowd and put him on the stretcher for the St John's guys.
Take them around the boundary line.
Take them around the boundary line. And the game was that exciting. These two guys were carrying the fellow that had fainted on the stretcher, and unbeknownst to them, they tipped him off, and the crowd are yelling out, "You've lost your pace," but they were more interested in the game. I don't know whether that's very funny or not, but it sounded, at the time, it was very funny.
Louis, on that note, let us go to some tape now and have a look at how errors can occur.
The Handball Championship, sponsored by Sport.
And today we come to a semi-final of the Spalding Handball Championship. John Byrne of North Melbourne, Peter Morrison of South Melbourne, Doug Wade tossing. Peter's won the toss.
Yes.
And he'll elect to go first with the left hand, is it, Peter? All right, well, let's take this message while we're getting underway, and then we'll be back with the Spalding Handball semi-final. Well, we can't go because we haven't got any balls.
And the soccer scene, Fred Villiers.
Well, we'll get...
Well, no, here's Fred. He's just been out bouncing the ball.
Where is he?
Here, Fred.
Thanks very much, right. Well, the story in the soccer scene is simply this, that Southampton are desperately trying to win their way into Division 1, and yesterday they had a thrashing 5-0 win over Blackburn Rovers.
Well, it's good to be back. Obviously, things have happened since I've been away for a couple of weeks. However, yes, it is.
Things have changed a bit, Don.
Good on you, darling.
Oh, dear. Well, go and do it. Go on. May as well do it now.
Gee, I obviously need makeup very badly.
Well, we've had just a little bit of trouble at the moment. The machine has jammed with the trots in it. And so I think we'll show you the cards. Let's have a look at the cards of all results on the program anyway for the trotting last. No, we're right. We've got it working. Here it is.
Well, we're happy now to say that Ricky Quaid is available to be spoken to, and he's with Bobby Skilton up in Sydney.
Well, from the moment the Sydney Swans decided to move to Sydney, there has been nothing but...
And we'll be back with him in just a moment. Isn't it amazing? Actually, what we did, we told Bobby to hurry it up, and he just went a little too quickly.
I think I'm on.
And in fact, we still have Miss Australia with us in Leanne Koch, and Leanne Dick, I should say. And Leanne, it's going to be very interesting to, we come to the stage now, and that is, I guess, fashions on the field. And we're looking at some of the best dressed ladies that we can find here in Mount Gambier. I think what we might do is have a look at one or two of them now, and individually we'll just see exactly what they're wearing.
I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, how about a big hand for Sandy Roberts?
Could I just thank the production crew very much? I had a look at that segment beforehand, and there was one particular one that wasn't on there, but don't worry, I've got plenty of time to get them back. Let's
really
get
great.
right on with the show. Fred Villiers.
Well, it's really been fantastic. I think being part of World of Sport for 20 years of the 25, I've enjoyed every minute of it. And I'm sure the soccer fans in Melbourne have too. We've always had a big viewing audience on Sunday morning, and as a result, I think World of Sport has helped us build the crowds over the years. There's no doubt about it that the game has produced some very fine sportsmen, and many of them have appeared here on World of Sport on Sundays. Coaches, players, officials, and as I said, I'm very, very pleased to be part of it as far as the soccer scene is concerned. While we're waiting now for the Australian team to prepare to go overseas, the national coach, Frank O'Rourke, recently had an operation on his neck in Berlin, of all places, and he's recuperating. He'll be back next month, and we do have an official tour of the Australian team going overseas, and in November they will be playing 3 games in China, which I'm sure they'll win a game, because the last time they went over there they were undefeated, and I'm convinced that we will have a great tour, followed later on by the Australians going to England, playing also in France and in Italy. Tomorrow's games, we have 4 matches in the National League, and I kind of feeling that the Italian community in Melbourne are going to have a big thrill tomorrow morning when they see Brian Brown arrive. Not Brian Brown, the film star, but Brian Brown, the player who's come over from Scotland, defender, who is very versatile indeed, and I think this is just the type of man that the Brunswick side are looking for. We'll see you tomorrow at Olympic Park for the big game, Juventus versus Newcastle.
Yes, the late Stuart Beaton, Fred Villiers' predecessor as our soccer commentator on World of Sport, chatting with Alex Scott on Everton.
And now it's my pleasure to introduce to HSV7 viewers Alex Scott, the outside right of Everton. Welcome this morning, Alec.
Thank you.
Alec, your transfer fee is how much?
Around about 50,000, I believe.
Around about £50,000. That's a lot of money. Alec, when did you start playing soccer?
Well, I started playing professional soccer when I was 18 years of age.
And of course, we know you played for Glasgow Rangers.
Yes.
the number 1 team. How many premierships, as we call them here, did you win with Glasgow Rangers?
4.
4.
Yes.
And you played for Scotland many times. How many?
15 times, sir.
And then you went to England when?
About a year and a half ago.
And joined Everton?
Yes.
And did you have any success there?
Well, we won the league last year.
May have just joined us, then we welcome you to our 25th anniversary. A number of people unfortunately can't be with us tonight, but we do have hundreds of telegrams. To Case and the crew, they say the first 25 years are always the best, and that's exactly how it's been with World of Sport. Would have loved to have been there tonight just to see Polly hand pass Uncle Doug through Lou's mouth from 25 yards. All the best, I'm thinking of you tonight, Bill and Robin Collins in London. Congratulations on 25 years of great entertainment from Heward Parker and Sons, Heward Parker and Partners, always saying hello. Sorry we can't be with you on your silver anniversary World of Sport, maybe on the gold. Congratulations, one of our great friends at World of Sport, Gus Mercurio. Many, many more have come in. Congratulations, 25 years of World of Sport, a great Victorian institution. No truth in the rumour that I'm planning to poach Jack Dyer to be my Minister for Football. His continued presence on the World of Sport footy panel is crucial to this state's footy-led recovery. It comes from our Premier, Mr. John Cain. And many thanks to him for thinking of us on this night. As I said, there are hundreds. We'll try and go through them throughout the evening and say hello to as many people as we possibly can.
Ron, many people thought you would never reach the top because of your height and weight. You were much heavier and taller than the normal long-distance runner. Has this ever worried you at all?
No, not at all. I don't think you can be limited by what people say. I'm me, so you have to run with what you've got and what you haven't got.
Well, somebody's obviously inspired you a lot, Ron. Who's been your greatest inspirer?
In athletics, I think Zatopek, Landy, of course, and Wes Perry. But the sportsman I admire the most, the athlete I admire most, is Sidney Patterson, a bloke that's been on top for such a long time and whose philosophy is that he likes bike riding and he will keep on riding bikes until he's back to the limit. This man I admire completely.
Many thanks to John and Debbie, and we welcome you back to our 25th anniversary of World of Sport. I mentioned earlier, hundreds of telegrams have been pouring in. Before I go on, I'd just like to mention one before we go any further. Dear Ron, to you, Uncle Doug, Lou, Jack and all the gang, congratulations on a magnificent milestone. World of Sport is what live television and sportsmanship are all about. Here's to the next 25. Warm regards, Bert Newton. Bert, many thanks, and I can assure you from the boys, they say thank you for your small gift. They are enjoying it, and it will indeed feel like a Sunday morning very, very soon. Time once again now to go back in time and remember one of those truly great segments with Ron again.
Time now to welcome back two of our all-time favourites in this special World of Sport Roller Derby.
Yes, our roller cycling tonight, and we're going to introduce two of the great champions during our 25 years of World of Sport. They're 55 or so now, give or take a few months. But on the red rollers, he needs really no introduction to cycling fans. The mighty Keith Reynolds, winner of 18 Australian track titles, 18 handicaps in one season, including 6 from behind the scratch marker, won the first Melbourne 6-day bike race with his opponent here tonight, the mighty Sid Patterson on the yellow rollers, one of the world's all-time greats, 4 world titles, 2 Austral wheel races from scratch, hundreds of other events, 15 6-day bike races in Australia, plus the Paris 6 with Russell Mockridge, the late Russell Mockridge, and the great Roger Arnold. Two magnificent personalities and fellas that have done wonders for the cycling game, so we're going to ask them just to turn those wheels around as we remember their performances of the past as they match wits and speed over 4 laps. Bill Long, who's handicapped both of them for so many years in professional cycling, in control of proceedings. Sid Patterson on the yellow roller and Keith Reynolds on the red roller. There's the mighty Sid. 4 world titles, better known perhaps as a pursuit rider and a trackman and a pursuit rider in his world titles, World Amateur Sprint Champion, World Pursuit, Professional Pursuit Champion, a magnificent and mighty 6-day rider. Keith Reynolds, a brilliant handicap rider. A little bit of cat and mouse going on here. As they come up with 3 laps to go. Sid Patterson, Keith Reynolds. Sid Patterson, of course, raced in 6-day events all over Europe. Won a Berlin 6-day bike race. Intense competitor. Keith Reynolds, a brilliant handicap rider, a form of racing that's unique to riders in Australia. And of course, in the old days of the Essendon board track, could they liven up a 5-mile Aces scratch race, which was always the final event on the program. Of course, the mighty Billy Guyatt was also another great rider during those times. I don't know what they're going to get up to here, but they're obviously not taking any chances with each other. This is like a derby. One of those North Essendon board track world derbies. Coming up to the bell lap now, and Keith Reynolds in front by a little margin. One to go. They look at each other. There they go, the last 220 now. And they're still pretty close together, with Reynolds just a shade in front. 110 to go, and Pato's going at him now. And Reynolds has got to the line.
Well, how about that, Louis? Ladies and gentlemen, big hand. I'll tell you what, that's the tremendous time. We timed that with a sundial. And it took 3 hours and 20 minutes. A fantastic effort, fellas.
How'd you pull up, Keith?
Worse for wear, Ron.
How about you, Siddy?
Yeah, good.
Sid, could I ask you a question? How long did it take you to get into your gear?
I thought you were going to say into condition.
They tell me that, well, it took you longer to get into your gear to shave your legs. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. I rang him up, he said he'd shaved, so I had to do the same.
Sid,
I shaved too.
You're quite
Sid, quite
okay,
seriously, our Olympic cyclists are on the way to Los Angeles now. You're a man who knows the international scene so well in amateur and professional ranks, and of course the cycling fraternity have given Australia such a great name on the international sports scene. I know you wish them well. What do you think of their chances?
Well, I honestly think it's the best, they're the strongest team of cyclists we've ever had in 20 years. There's no cyclist now can do 2 jobs because they're all specialists. They've got, Rainsford's got a big chance, Clark, Woods, 4-man team pursuit. They could come home with 4 gold.
Great. Great to have you with us, Sid. One of our real favourites at World of Sport. And you too, Keith. Great to have you with us too.
Sid and Keith, the bottle of champagne from Thomas Hardy, and I tell you, you had a breath still, Sid. Yeah. And you watched tonight because the breathalyzer mob are out there too, eh? Don't drink it now, Sid. He's tempted.
Mark of the Day is brought to you by Nissan, who proudly present $100 to the World of Sport Mark of the Day. And at the end of season 84, a sensational Nissan Bluebird TRX. Only if you're ready for the World of Sport Mark of the Year.
And let's have a look at some marks now. Firstly from Hawthorn, Michael Tuck. Now Jim Jess of Richmond.
Jess, he's got the mark. And there's jumping Jimmy Jess.
Michael Roach of Richmond.
Got his hands, but he's got the mark. Great mark to Roach.
Kennedy. For Hawthorn, Robert Dipier Domenico.
Forward line. Dippy does it with a one hand.
Ball's kickers up.
Still with Hawthorn, Chris Mew.
There he is, the ever reliable Mew.
His teammate Peter Curran.
Down towards centre.
Geez, playing a game and a half. Peter Curran.
Got pass.
Richmond's John Manton.
It's a dangerous one, but Manton's grabbed it.
To Windy Hill, Paul Van der Haar. Fitzroy's Gary Pert.
Good mark. Oh, lovely mark to Gary Pert. Pert from behind.
Second one from Gary Pert.
Mark to Gary Pert.
Michael Reeves of Fitzroy.
Lovely mark to Reeves. Hasn't done a bad job, Jack. But hooks it back
Simon
towards
Madden
forward position.
of Essendon.
And a mark should have been paid to Madden. Yes, it will be. Picks it up
And Michael
high.
Reeves of Fitzroy.
Instead of being in that pack and over the back, a great mark taken by
Heading up
Michael
our
Reeves.
panel, Lou Richards. Gentlemen?
Not the greatest mark in the world, Bob Davis, but what did you think about the marks there tonight?
Well, I thought they were some excellent marks, Lou, and the ones that I picked out were Deepier Domenico, Curran, Van der Haar, Pert, but the last one of Reeves I thought was magnificent.
And you, the gentle giant, in your white boots, who do you think was the best mark?
Well, I had Michael Tuck and John Manton from Richmond, but I did think Reeves' second mark for Fitzroy was by far the best.
Well,
Who did
once
you
again, Sam, you are right, and so are you, Bob. Michael Reeves is our mark of the day, and of course, it was a sensational mark, and he wins the prize from Nissan. Now we see Michael Reeves in action, coming at the back of the pack, eyes on the ball, falls to the ground heavily, but that's a great mark, and of course, Michael Reeves will be very proud of that one.
Mark of the Day was brought to you by Nissan, who proudly presented $100 to the World of Sport Mark of the Day, and at the end of season 84, a sensational Nissan Bluebird TRX. Only if you're ready for the World of Sport Mark of the Year.
Tonight's program, all the regular 1984 segments, and of course going back in time to those segments that highlighted the program throughout the 25 years. Many people indeed are enjoying the party here at World of Sport. I think we might return to that party now. Here's Ron.
Well, yes, Sandy, we certainly are. And there's one guy I'm very pleased to see here tonight, one of our favourites on World of Sport. When we were developing the program and we needed things that got publicity, we asked this guy would he help us with a particular feature that we thought was a good idea, and we introduced the World of Sport Fashion Parade. John Gould. Great to have you back, John.
It's marvellous to be back with all our mates, Ron.
Yes, and then after he left football, he came in one Sunday, and would you believe he bought his polo ponies?
That's right. I think they caught Louis on the hop, didn't they?
I think
Every
so.
time Louis has been stuck for words, I think a horse spoke louder than he did.
You see any football now?
Yeah, I get the odd game. I was a fanatical watcher of your show and always loved football. It's a game that's helped me enormously in life, and I'll always put a lot back into it. But I'm down in the bush with my horses and sheep and cattle, so I didn't get much chance. But certainly, you know, I watch the box all the time.
You went to the National this afternoon?
Yeah, marvellous day sport.
Great performance.
By the grey horse in New Zealand.
In the National?
Unbelievable. I mean, if anyone loves sport, to watch what that horse did, the courage it showed, and the constitution of the jockey to dip at the last two fences and still come up and won was excitement for anyone. Anyone who wants to knock jumping like that, you know, I think it certainly makes winter sport. Football and jumping like that makes sport in Victoria marvellous.
John, you look terrific. You look as though you play half-back again.
I just let the horses do the work.
Thanks for coming along.
Thanks
anyway.
very much, Ron. Thank you.
There's one friend of ours over here talking with Keith Stackpole. John Darcy. John, great to see you here.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
It's marvellous to be
One of
here.
our really commercial men, eh?
Oh, yes, I was. That's true, with Uncle Doug, and I'd like to thank him very much for giving me my start on television.
Well, it's great to have you back with us, Bob.
Thank you very
Really
much
good.
indeed, Ron.
Keith Stackpole with us tonight. Keith.
G'day, Ron.
Yes, nice to have you with us at World of Sport.
Thanks very much.
Looking forward to a big season.
Oh, yes, a long way off yet, but looking forward to getting the footy out the road, yes, so as I can get all the household chores done.
Keith, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm looking for someone up here, one of our very early producers. It's Max Walker. Max?
Hey, g'day, Ron.
How are you, pal?
Oh, very good.
Talking to Keith Stackpole over there. He said the cricket season seems a fair way away at the moment.
Yes, I believe he's working very hard with Redders on the Victorian side. I think we might see a big improvement in the Vicks this year.
Yes.
That policy of youth will start to show a bit of fruit now.
What about the West Indies and England? They're showing them very little mercy.
Oh,
Hey?
they're just an unreal mob, aren't they?
Aren't they?
Gosh, Malcolm Marshall, I think that must have been a fresh of breath air for him to break a thumb, but they're a great side, and I think it'll be a fantastic summer out here this year.
A fellow you know pretty well, Peter Burge, was telling me a couple of weeks ago that when he played, he only had to worry about Wesley Hall at one end, and they had somebody much gentler at the other. He said now there's one at each end and two more to come.
they had Brian Booth over there, and he used to say a prayer for them before they went out, just to say they come back in one piece. Okay, fantastic.
Yes. We've got the President of the Victorian Football League, Dr. Alan Aylett, with us tonight. Alan, thanks for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
I know you've been a visitor to World of Sport on many occasions, but tonight's a special night. I'm glad you called by.
Thank you very much, and it's just so great to see so many familiar faces, and congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Wonderful effort.
Be some fibs told tonight, do you think?
Oh, I'm certain of that.
All these
I'm
sportsmen?
certain of that.
Thanks, Alan, for
Super
coming
effort.
along tonight. It's terrific. John Dixon I'm looking for. John, John Dixon was the original director of World of Sport, and he's gone on to be involved in much less troublous things like The Man from Snowy River and all of those great lavish productions. But John, they were great times in the early days of world of sport, weren't they?
I think we explored a new area of television.
I think so, yes.
Remember when we started, they said television had to be neat, clean,
precise.
And never see a camera on shot, never see a light. We fixed that.
We changed all that, didn't we? We certainly did. John, I mentioned The Man from Snowy River. You've also been involved in, of course, some spectacular commercials. Those commercials for Carlton United Brewery, which are really world class. What are you looking for in the future now?
I'm going on to a mini-series which I've written, Ron, called Anzacs.
Yes.
And you want to go on with that?
No, not exactly, but never mind about that. I suppose World of Sport was a fairly valuable period.
World of Sport was the greatest training ground you could have because you had to throw all the rules away. And we had to, as everybody said tonight, it started as chaos, but then you had to have some sort of structure in chaos. And we did it. And we remember we started with a budget of 3 and 6 months, I think it was, wasn't it?
John, thanks for coming in. It's been great to see you. Right, can we just go over here? I just want to say hello to Herb Elliott. Herb, thanks for coming by tonight. That was terrific. Come up with
No, it's fantastic to be here. In fact, I came along tonight because I reckon the World of Sport's done a lot for sport over the last 25 years. And my wife and I have been married 25 years this year too, so there's a good reason. Yeah.
I've got to tell you a story about this guy. When he was,
not true.
Yes, it is. When he was world champion, the Olympic gold medalist, and the media of all of Melbourne was on his back, I could make a contact with Herb and ask him to come on the program. And he was down at Portsea, and he'd jump on a motorbike and come up for World of Sport. You remember those days?
I remember that motorbike too. God, I froze to death on that thing.
A guy that did a lot for World of Sport, Herb Elliott, and we won't forget it. Herb,
thanks Ron. No, it's lovely to be here.
Well done.
Great to be with
Thank
us.
you. Okay, back to Sandy.
Right, thank you, Ron, very much indeed. Great to meet up with so many old faces, and that shall continue throughout the program. We'll take a break, though, and be back with a favourite segment, the Wood Chop, live here in just a moment.
The House of Valentine presents The Wood Chop.
Thank you, Uncle, and welcome indeed to the Valentine's Wood Chop. And let us meet our 3 contestants in tonight's show. From the Basin, a driver weighing in at 12.5 stone, I'm told, is Kevin Myers. He's starting off 2 as he mounts the block. Off 7 from Traralgon, a mechanic, Stephen Rees. And making up the trio, a man who, incidentally, was on the first World of Sport wood chop, and he is still with us today. Make welcome Gary Smith of Mitta Mitta. Good on you, Gary. Joining him is Stephen Rees and Kevin Myers, and we'll be back with the action right after this break.
Good old Gary. And here's yet another beauty from Valentine. Valentine nut and fruit selections. Fruita nuts, chocolate sultanas, roasted almonds, and roasted peanuts. And they're all richly coated with milk or dark chocolate, genuine Valentine chocolate, the very best. There they are, you can see them, and you can buy them. Traditional favourites, Valentine nut and fruit selection. Perfect for people who just love the taste of real chocolate.
Welcome back, and gentlemen, we are just about set to go. Let us now get down to business with the count, the voice of Jack O'Toole.
Action. Ready. Go. 1.
Kevin
2,
Myers away first.
3,
He is off 2.
4, 5,
Stephen Rees from
6,
Traralgon, the mechanic,
7,
is away now
8,
on 7 and just
9,
having to wait on the block
10,
is big
11,
Gary Smith.
12.
Got some news
30,
on Gary too as he's
40.
away on 14. Coming from Mitta Mitta, he's been on a fitness kick the last few months. In fact, Gary weighs in at some 16.5 stone, but he has shed 2.5 stone in the last 6 months. Meyer is the first one around. Now Rees goes round by. Gee, they're going to be putting the pressure on Smith. He goes round now, but is having a bit of problem on the right-hand side. Let's see if he can get into it. It looks as though Meyer at the moment has a short lead over Rees in the middle. Going to be very, very close, this one. Gary Smith starting off 14, starting to make inroads now on that second back, and he's going to be the one they're going to have to beat. But Rees is going well, and he's done it. Rees first, Meyer second, and Smith third. Stephen Rees, a great performance. Getting up to beat Gary Smith, who was off 14. Steve was off 7. In a time, Lawrence, of 42 seconds. Let's now go to the presentation area, and here's Jack.
Stephen, talk about yourself a little bit, will you? Where are you from?
From Kerrajane.
Where's that?
Oh,
no one knows here. Quick.
No, it's about 12 miles to Traralgon.
well-minded 12. Got plenty of wood to chop up there?
Yeah, get time to train.
Is this one of your best chops?
Oh, a bit nervous tonight.
A bit nervous, were you?
Yeah.
Have you won, you think, at World Sport?
Made the final once. And
made the final, that's all you made?
Yeah, made the semis every time.
Well, you knocked the favourite off here tonight in Gary there, so congratulations everyone. This is from, of course, Ballantyne's. We've got the vintage cheese for you, Stephen. And we have also the fruit and nuts from the Ballantyne's. And we also have the entertainment mints too.
Thanks so much, Jack.
And congratulations on a good chop.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Next week on the Ballantyne's Wood Chop, round 9. Martin O'Toole is off 16, Colin McGlade off 6, and Laurie Healy off 4.
The Wood Chop was brought to you proudly by the House of Ballantyne.
They called this man the Corpse with pads on. When Bill Lorry was appointed Australia's Test captain, however, he spoke animatedly with our cricket interviewer Graham Eccles of the Herald.
Well, what do you think the strengths are going to be, say, in Australia's side in England?
Well, I think the strength will be our youth. I don't think we'll have a great many experienced players going away because most experienced players have retired. But I think you can't beat enthusiasm and youth, and a bit of guts goes a long way. And I think that possibly we'll surprise everybody with our performances in England, presuming that we all go.
If you have just joined us, we thank you and certainly hope you can stay with us right around the evening. Well, around Melbourne, in 100,000 homes, footy clubs and pubs, I guess, a lot of you are sitting back and enjoying a little old-fashioned nostalgia. Our roving reporter, Stephen Phillips, is in one such pub at the moment, gauging the feeling, and in this case, we're truly sorry that the publican couldn't be squeezed into our VIP guest list tonight. But I guess when you're the mountain won't come to Muhammad, then there's only one thing you can do. Muhammad must go to the mountain, or in this case, the Wales. Here's Stephen.
Thanks, Sandy. Yes, I'm down at the Wales in Clarendon Street, South Melbourne, the Cricket Club Hotel, and it's a watering hole for two of our favourites, Jack Dyer and Laurie Nash. And Wale, those two men must tell some dreadful lies.
I tell lies all the time, Steve. Both of them. Nash is better than Dyer.
Do the people come in here on Monday morning and talk about the arguments on the show, the panel and Club Corner?
Well, they do actually, because World of Sport, and I must say, congratulate them on their birthday, and they've been enormous and great, because you've confused the public for 25 years.
Now, Wale, I've got to ask you this. What's this on your bar? What's this on the bar here?
This is a duck that... This is a duck that Jack actually didn't miss, but it's petrified. Have a look at it.
Whereabouts did this duck come from? Is this one of the Bell-Ranald ducks?
I think his name's Donald.
Steve, I've got Jack Dyer here with me at the moment, and I've got an idea that Jack might want to have a few words to say to you, Wale. What do you think, Jack? Is that duck story right?
No, it's not right at all. We didn't shoot ducks. We were after the pigs up there, but there's no pigs, so we just had a nice, friendly little ale between the
Jack,
two of
you
us.
can't shoot pigs from the front bar of the Bell-Ranald pub.
Will you stop it, Wale? Will you stop it? I brought you home safely and looked after you. And you're lucky you never got a hiding up there too. Only for me you would have too, because they didn't like you up there. You know that, don't you?
Jack, I'm glad that you looked after him, Wale. Thank you for being part of our program tonight. What about, ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for Wale Roberts.
One of the great ones.
Good on you, Wale. We shall take a break and be back with more in just a moment. Time now to hear from coaches Kevin Sheedy and Robert Walls about the big clash out at Windy Hill today, with Bobby Skilton asking the questions.
Kevin, just how did you rate today's performance?
Oh, that was a good performance, Bob. You know, we had trouble with Fitzroy for quite a long time as an opposition team, and I feel that we're improving as a team gradually, not a team of stars or star-studded sort of players in the team that have been probably there in the past, but I feel at the moment we're playing well as a unit of 20, and that's been our improvement.
Rob, was there anything that pleased you about today's game?
Well, I thought we had a better go at it today than we did last week against the Swans, so I was pleased with that aspect of it. We tried hard to team better today, and as a result we were probably a bit indirect in our play, but at least we were getting the ball and sharing the ball, which at times made us look wide and indirect, but still
I thought that was an improvement on last week.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Was it, whether it was a plan or, at one stage, Fitzroy had 4 kicks and went across, back and across, and gained about 20 metres.
Yeah, well, that's not good football, Bob, but I suppose you have to start off poorly to get things going the right way. And last week we had an all-time low of 40 handballs for the game, and today we worked hard to share the ball, and as a result, sometimes we overdid it.
Kevin, you've always made it obvious that you want a versatile side, and players should be able to play anywhere. Today you had Carey on the forward line, Donnell, Hawker on the back line. Was this the thought behind that plan?
Oh, well, I think Frank Donnell's played quite well on the back line in the past, and we had a small player on Brian Winton, which is Robert's choice, first of all, so we brought Winton off and put Donnell back. And I wanted to get Glenn Hawker onto the back line where he's had an injury to his knee, and I felt that if he would be coming off the back line, he would be running at the ball, meeting the ball, get your confidence back in your first game back in VFL footy for a month or so. And that left Carey, and I'd rather put Carey in the forward line to work hard at keeping the ball in the forward line. And, he gave us 3 goals. He didn't kick them himself, but he hand passed and short passed a kick over. So I felt that while it wasn't an absolute match-winning sort of move, but we had reasons for it. And to me, that's very important.
Rob, Gary Sidebottom picked up quite a number of kicks, but he picked them up out on the wing and way up the ground. At one stage he had a kick on the half-back line, which really left you one short on the forward line. What was the thought behind that tactic?
Well, Gary Sidebottom played as a half-forward flanker today. Gary Pert was our centre-half forward. And because Sidey, he was given more of a free run, and I didn't mind where he went because we had Gary Pert at centre-half forward as our target. So that was the reason why Gary was all over the place today.
Kevin, you've got a lot of what I term lesser-known players that you're getting great value out of. The Thompsons, the Clarks, the Ezzards, the Harveys. How do you rate their form at the moment?
Well, I've been, really pleased with these young players.
I bring them up because people just don't realise the value of those guys.
Yeah, well, the players that you've mentioned have worked at their game. Bomber Thompson, he's been an excellent player for us this year. He's only played a handful of games, probably 10 at the most. Neil Clark's been there for quite a while, but he's missed 10 games this year, and he's just coming back, so he's going to be naturally keen and pretty fresh and want to have a fairly good rest of the season. Ezzard, we played 7 times last year, of which 4 matches of those 7 games were finals matches. But I felt that if we're going to get anywhere, Essendon, we've got to keep bringing on our young players to introduce them into football and let them get the maturity by playing matches. And I think that the results have been on the board with players like, say, Roger Merritt, who we've persisted with and have now started to get rewards from him. And naturally Darren Williams and players like that who are now playing well, that we've gone and made sure that we give them every opportunity and keep their confidence up and believe in them to keep ourselves a good club for not only 1 year, but, for quite a number of years. And I think that that's a success of the teams that have won premierships for the last 5 to 10 years. They've been up there every year, year after year, knocking on the door. If they missed a premiership, they're back in there the next year or two and get a chance.
Well, I must say this, Kevin, quite seriously, being a commentator on World of Sport has certainly helped you a lot. And after today's defeat, would you like to be a commentator on World of Sport, Robert?
Oh, no, not yet, Lou.
The Thomas Hardy Graham Reserve for both of you, plus these magnificent chocolate sultanas from Valentine's, and not forgetting our old friend Mayfair Festive Ham, and Coca-Cola, of course, that's a great pack for you. Mayfair again with the rest of bacon. This is the original book, and it's a great book, the official record of Australia too, for both. How about that? Great present. God bless you both.
Thanks a lot.
All right, let's check the voting in the Canberra Club Award for the Bombers. Williams, Baker and Simon Madden getting the votes. For Fitzroy, Lee Carlson, Reeves and Turner, whilst in the Progressive for both sides, Paul Salmon still leads at Windy Hill and Coleman at the Junction Oval.
TAA, the friendly way, presents What's Your Decision?
Yes, we've spoken for years about the segments that could cause the roast to get burned or perhaps a marital tiff or two, and it's this one indeed. What's your decision? What about making umpire Jeff Morrow? Welcome to World of Sport. Come on, big round of applause for Jeff, who's joined us on the program. Now, Jeff, you were down at VFL Park today in a pretty one-sided affair.
Yeah, it certainly was, Sandy, after half-time.
Let's have a look at a couple of decisions now. We'll ask you to take us through them, your thoughts and what the decision was. Here's the first.
Now a chance for the Hawks speedsters.
The first one here is Colin Robinson bending over to pick up the ball. And I felt Philip Egan ran in and hit him too high with the right arm over the shoulder here. Does duck his head, but the arm comes around and does make contact above the shoulder. And I paid a free kick to Colin Robinson for a high tackle.
I think you're quite right there, although it is difficult on that angle for us to see, but you're obviously in a far better position on the other side of the ground. OK, the umpires at this stage lead 1-0. Let us go into the second on what's your decision and see what you think of this one.
Well, Matthews going for a mark here. I find that this is probably a tiggy touchwood free kick. Jostling taking place here with Tim Jepp right behind. You see his left hand go over the top of Lee Matthews' shoulder there. And probably a play-on decision there, and I think that was probably an unwarranted free kick.
Yes, I think we've got to go into our first break at 1-1. We shall be back with two more decisions in just a moment. Welcome back to What's Your Decision. Jeffrey, don't worry about chatting with the panel. That chance will come later. Here now is the third decision. Let's have a look at this one.
We see Gary Ayres bending over to pick up the ball, and I saw Dale Waitman come in there, and he's used his right arm now. Bang, hits Gary Ayres on the side of the face there. Another high tackle. And when the player's bending over the ball like that, he's very vulnerable in that situation. So
did that right hand connect there? Dale Waitman looked absolutely shell-shocked, he said. Obviously what he said to you was, what?
That's about all he said, Sandy, and I was very fortunate. That's all he said.
But the arm did come up.
Oh, yes.
I mean, you could see it there, but it didn't look as though it made contact. Let's have another look at it.
Contact made there.
Yeah, it looks, that's fair enough at that speed. I wonder if we might see it in slow motion, though. Now, have a look at this. Does it connect?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you might be right, too. I think you are, Jeffrey, yes. All right, here's the fourth and final one in at What's Your Decision. At the moment, you're leading 2-1, which is usually pretty fair. The umpires have always been great when they come in. Now, Brian Taylor.
Well, we see Brian Taylor and Russell Morris locking arms there. And
what was the decision? What did you give there? Just paid the mark to Brian Taylor?
I paid the mark to Brian Taylor. I felt that both players had locked arms, and I felt that Russell Morris dived. I reckon he dived forward on that one.
Yeah, it almost looks as though Brian has given him a gentle nudge.
I think he was just trying to withdraw his arm away from Russell Morris's arm to take the mark, and I feel that Russell sort of dived forward and contributed to the obvious that there, but I think it was definitely a mark.
All right, Jeff, thank you very much for joining us on What's Your Decision. As I said earlier, it's always great to have the umpires a part of World of Sport, as they have been for many years.
Yeah, fine, Sandy, and all the umpires do really enjoy coming in to World of Sport and being part of the action on Sundays.
Here's a man who loves the umpire.
I do. I never criticise umpire because they're in a better position than us, and also that Jeff is the son of the famous Tom Morrow that played with Geelong.
Oh, you tell some sneaky little ones.
I'm very sweet with the umpires, I must say that.
Yes, you will be with Jeff after this.
Jeff, my friend, you got the Thomas Hardy Grand Reserve champagne, and not forgetting you were travelling first class today like Hawthorn, and of course Tosca travellers always first class with this magnificent bag, and that'll put all your money you receive as an umpire. How about that?
Thank you kindly, Lou.
Pleasure,
thank you, Lou, and many thanks to Jeff Morrow for joining us on our anniversary edition of World of Sport, a really special segment. We're going to go back in time again in just a moment.
TAA, the Friendly Way, presents the Umpires Award for the 1984 Grand Final Field Umpires. Each senior umpire will receive a week for two on Dunk Island, and for the under-19 Grand Final Field umpires, a week for two at Iluka, Surfers Paradise. From TAA, the Friendly Way.
As I said, we've got a number of special segments coming up for you, and I think this is one, because four men have spent close to 25 years visiting our World of Sport studios every wintry Sunday morning. Their names are certainly respected the width and breadth of the land. Tonight we have three of them, Ron Darassi, Alan Jeans and Tom Hafey. The fourth, John Kennedy, is on his way to Broken Hill, but before he left, Stephen Phillips had this brief chat with him.
Well, John, over 20 years and some 200 weekends, World of Sport certainly made an impression on your Sundays.
Yes, well, I must say, Stephen, that I didn't mind going in. Wasn't so good when we lost. You had to face the music, but it was all right when you won, and in any case, the company was always good.
Well, the media were never really your favourite people, and you didn't really make much of a secret of it.
No, that's been a fairly constant impression for me all the time, but certainly I think World of Sport had some things going for it as far as media were concerned. In the first place, I think the fact that it was a live show counted a lot for me, because you were on and what you said came over. There was no person going to interfere with it or snip little bits out or put bits in and that kind of thing. And the second thing was that I think, Stephen, I think that at HSV7, Ron and Lou and everybody, at least they made it an entertainment. To me, it didn't ever get too serious. After all, it was a football match, very serious for the coaches and the supporters and everyone, but they kept it at the entertainment level, and I think that was an attractive feature of it.
Do you see it as important that the coaches can go in on Sundays and air their feelings to not only the supporters of their club, but the supporters of all clubs?
Oh yes, I think the link between the supporters and the person who's coaching the team is important, and I think, well, I always felt that I had an obligation to Hawthorn supporters to at least let them hear what I was thinking anyhow, but I don't believe that any coach is obliged to criticise players in public.
Unfortunately, you couldn't be with us at the celebrations tonight, but Lou Richards did ask me to ask you one question, the coat.
Oh, well, that proved a pretty good talking point for Lou and Bob particularly. It didn't worry me. It probably got me out of a lot of awkward situations when there was nothing else for me to say, which was quite often. I suppose they could ask me that and laugh it off.
Thanks, John, for being with us tonight. It's a special night for us, and you've done so much over the years to help the show along.
Well, I'm sure that without any sort of nonsense I can say that I hope the show goes on. I think it's it's a gloriously informal show, and people enjoy it. The people engaged in it enjoy it, and I hope it goes for another 25 years.
The question of players' payments was pertinent in the early 60s. Alan Killigrew and a senior player were in Sydney to promote the game. Killer, the hot gospeller, and a very young, clean-cut Alan Aylett.
How much do you get paid for playing?
Well, it varies. I think the players that have played for some time would probably get more than a recruit. You're governed by certain laws, but...
this is a bit of a laugh, though, surely, isn't it?
Well, not really, no. The weekly payments for players are based on a standard, and that's £10 per week, but up to £10 per week is put away in a provident fund, so it virtually means you're getting £20 per week, and then there are other various things, such as television appearances and radio interviews and advertising media, where the payment is probably increased to somewhere around about £25 to £30. That's for an established player.
The thought of sending a team to Sydney had been mooted, and the response from this man was positive.
Right there, I don't think we'll ever get paper machines, and apparently that's one tremendous way of bringing in income. And it's good to see, Frank, that the Australian rules clubs in Sydney are developing along these lines, and perhaps in the near future we may see many Victorians propagating the game in New South Wales.
Some of us could just about get onto that program with absolute ease. There have been a number of people that have been so helpful to us over the years, particularly tonight, and I'd just like to thank Wilkinson, Red Tulip Chocolates, 4 and 20 Pies, Mentholatum Deep Heat, Coca-Cola and Carlton United Breweries in particular for helping us make the night the great success. One of the, or possibly the greatest segment on World of Sport over the many, many years has been the footy panel. The footy panel has changed over the years, but I think now we'll go back in time, and without any further ado, to tell us about it and meet some old faces, here's Ron.
They've returned, a little older, perhaps a little wiser, some are a little heavier, and most a touch greyer. For the ultimate in nostalgia, we're proud to present the World of Sport footy panel, as they used to line up.
Yes, well, two of our current panel, of course, are still with the panel. That's Lou and Jack, have been there right from the start. But going back a little further, Kevin Coughlin, the professor, one of our early commentators. Great to have you back, Kevin. Jim Francis, a former Carlton coach, great player and a great commentator. Next to Louis, we have Jim Cleary, And of course, next to Jim is Jack Dyer and Bruce Andrew, of course, the taut instep and champion kick, Bruce, and the Baron, Alan Rusden. Great to have you with us, Alan, and of course, Brownlow medalist Neil Roberts. So it's a little bit of nostalgia. We'll have our formal football panel a little later about what happened today. But Kevin, from your learned lookings at football over the last 25 years of World of Sport, what do you think's been the biggest development in the game?
Well, if I can avoid the vagaries of circumlocution, if I can go straight to the point.
Thank you,
straight to the point, Ron.
Our original football professor on World of Sport.
Yes, I think straight to the point. We've developed a great game of basketball, highly paid, highly skilled, and more skilled than when I started on the World of Sport.
Jim Francis, what are your thoughts about it?
Oh, present-day football's changed since my time, but I think the bringing in the square rule, I can't understand why the umpire has to bounce the ball so high. The idea is to keep the players out. By the time the ball comes down, they're all in the square. Now, if they can, only when we were playing, the ball was only 10 to 15 feet, and the ruckman palmed it. He didn't run in and have a wild swipe, and this seems to be where all the congestion is.
Well, the solution could be get a smaller umpire, Jim.
No. Flatter ball. Today before the game before the game started out at VFL Park, the two umpires practiced bouncing the ball, and that went out of sight. Now, what's the good of that?
Takes their minds off the rules,
Would
Jim.
you like to be a ruckman waiting for the ball to come down?
No, by Jove, not with a big fella coming the other side.
Well, Brownlow medalist Rover. Baron, how would you like to be a Rover with this centre square situation now?
Well, Ron, personally, I think it's a terrific setup because I personally, myself, relied on handball more than anything else, and
that's getting it, not giving it.
I know, but I'm getting back to it.
Doesn't he look like the ex-Governor General?
He's not dead yet.
What's that got to do with the centre square?
Well, the centre square, this is what I'm getting to. I think the centre square is excellent because it creates more opportunities, and in our day, it was so congested, and the football is not the same.
Hey, Baron, how would you be having to give the ball up every time you got it nowadays?
Well, the umpire often said, give us a number 7, you've had it all day.
Jim, I know one of the things that worried you in World of Sport when the game was changing, and it was changing, the drop kick was going out, the torpedo punt is very rarely seen, the stab kick is never seen, of course. What do you think of the skills of the game in the kicking of the ball?
Well, it is one of my most serious regrets that part of the football has changed. But then to counteract that, the great fitness, the reflexes of the players today are so tremendous that all those mistakes that they do occur during the game today are counteracted, but once by the flow on, the teamwork, the combination of the players together to get that ball down into attack. When Hawke did that last Sunday week against, in Sydney, that was one of the finest exhibitions of football that anybody could possibly ever see. And this, not Bob Hawke, no, the Hawke of the Swans, Neil. But these are the sort of things that, if you like, there's mistakes made, Ron, but they are, in my opinion, counteracted, and there's no way that this game hasn't improved.
Bruce, all the great kicks we had in champion kick over the years, we conducted that competition. Couldn't get a drop kick now, I suppose, could you?
Well, Ron, that's the absolute tragedy of the whole game. I mean, here we had a game that was built around skills. The skills of kicking, we had the drop kick, the stab kick, the magnificent torpedo punt, we had a flat punt kick, and they were skills. We had the skills of players keeping to their position, and what's happening to the game today. The only skill that has been improved, and it's being overdone to a ridiculous degree, is the handball. No other skill of the game today has improved in the last 20 years.
Aren't you impressed, though, with the ability of players today to pass the ball over long distances from one to the other with the drop punt that they use now?
Well, if you were at VFL Park this afternoon and the first 3 quarters of that match, you'd have come away disgusted, like I did.
Kevin, you were murmuring there, don't you? You don't agree?
Excuse me,
That's
Rob.
the rubbish
excuse
I've
me,
ever
I
heard.
just want to
I've
say
never
this,
seen
please.
such better kicking to position than we are seeing in this decade now, in these years now. And over long distances, you've got to be kidding, Bruce.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I
kidding.
agree with
Just
Kevin.
taking
Kevin,
note
wait a
of the
minute, Ron,
errors
just
that
a
a
second,
play made
Bruce.
each day.
Bruce,
Yeah?
just a second. What better kick have you seen than Mark Browning? For the
You're
try?
speaking of
or
one
Bernie
player.
Quinlan. All right, Bernie Quinlan.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking over 25 years. What
Barry
about
Round.
Paul Viner? Paul Viner holds the record of the
I know he
longest
did.
drop kick in football.
Jimmy, that's just what I'm saying. They've gone out of the game.
What we're going to ask you, gentlemen, to do,
That's my whole
before we
argument.
take a break, we're going to ask you to assess players. It's always difficult. We're going to ask you, as we always do on World of Sport, to vote 3-2-1. Then we're going to tally up the votes. We want you to vote, for your opinion, your ideal player over the last 25 years, which is World of Sport, the players who've played through that period and that you've talked about, you've cast votes for, and we're going to ask you now to cast votes for 3-2-1. You're first off, Kevin,
Right.
for the player of the 25 years period of World of Sport, starting with a 1 vote, a 2 vote, and then your 3 vote player.
Well, my third vote player would be Ted Whitten, Mr. Football, evil, brilliant, versatile, and in any team he would be one of the first picked. Then my second vote would go to Lee Matthews, rover, full forward,
Evil.
dynamo, evil.
Evil.
I'll throw that in, evil.
Yeah, we'll throw it in.
And in a brilliant team, you'd like 2 evil players of that calibre, wouldn't you? And come back to the composite player for my best player I've seen in 25 years, Alex Jesaulenko, Nuraev, the Scarlet Pimpernel, and genius of football, Alex Jesaulenko.
Right, Jim, there he is, one of the great marks of the year, taken by Alex Jesaulenko.
It's the only one who's ever had a
Jim
kick.
Francis, your first. 1 vote.
1 vote, Lee Matthews. My second vote would be Bobby Skilton. And my third vote would be Big John Nichols.
Right, Lou Richards.
Well, I had a very difficult job trying to pick my first vote. I got it down to 4 players. Ron Barassi came to note because I thought he's one of the most inspirational players I've seen.
Just because he's there.
Yeah, because he's here. I'm not stupid either. I just spotted him. But I really mean that. I think Barassi had a lot to do with Melbourne winning all those premierships. I thought about Ian Stewart, one of the greatest centre players I've seen, won 3 Brownlow medals. And then I thought about somebody else, and I thought to myself, well, there's a little guy that works...
So you got 1 vote for?
I know, I haven't got any votes yet.
Oh, well, right. Can we get a 1 vote?
Well, I'm having 1 vote because I think he's a rover and he's selfish. He's typical of all rovers. And he was a great player and possibly the best umpire patter on the back I've ever met in my life to win 3 Brownlow medals. Bobby Skilton got my first vote, or third vote. I went for 2 votes to one I think if I had to pick a side, I'd possibly pick him first. Of all, he's a great player, Lee Matthews, one of the most inspirational players I've seen. 2 voters. And of course...
Do you ever look up above?
Well, they're 2 rovers, and of course, this fella can play at full forward any position just about. But the most versatile, the most natural football I've seen of all times, playing any position, was just a natural. It's Ted Whitten, my number 1 vote. And you see Ted in action. He could be a bit evil. He can do the wrong things every now and again. And there's a beautiful balk coming from Ted Whitten. And this is typical of his play, whether it's wet, dry, or it doesn't matter what sort of weather, Ted was a great player.
Right, Jim Cleary, 1 vote.
How I had to ignore so many great players is beyond me. But the point remained that I tried to bring them down into sections. Hardest place in the position to play in football, centre half forward. So I had to choose between Royce Hartsey and Darryl Baldock. I went for Darryl Baldock principally because he captained the one and only time that St Kilda's won a premiership. He was absolutely magnificent. His ball control was out of this world. He overcame the handicap of being short. His kicking was immaculate. His marking was sound. His groundwork was out of this world. Number 1, Darryl Baldock. Number 2, Bobby Skilton. He played for the famous old club, South Melbourne. But Skilton actually was, well, he gave that indication of being indestructible. And so I remember that he did get knocked out once, but that only proved that he was human. And my best player on the ground, or ever, I gave to Polly Farmer. Farmer came from Western Australia and took over football with his handball. He rejuvenated, he actually changed the complexion of football completely, and this man was something absolutely phenomenal.
Righto, Jim, thanks for that. We'll be back to talk about more star players in just a moment.
Well, how's the side shaping, Bob?
Well, the side's going right there, but I want to know what you're doing standing up on that step.
That makes me look taller. Let's get back to the football, Bob.
Well, we're going along very nicely, Lou. I feel that we've improved, and the team will definitely improve, you know, as the season progresses.
My golly, it couldn't improve much on last year, could it?
Oh, yes, I feel that, well, we did play our best football in the finals, but up until then we were a little bit spasmodic, especially, you know, in the middle part of the season we played pretty badly in 3 or 4 games. I think we were fortunate, really, to get into the 4.
Are you a little bit disappointed in missing out on the 2 star recruits of the year, Brummel and Woods?
Well, we tried very hard to get them, Lou, but I feel that we've got one boy here in particular will, you know, won't worry about Woods or Brummel at all.
What's his name?
A boy called Newman, John Newman.
Didn't he play with your seconds last year?
Yes, played in the reserves last year, only 4 games, and he used to go to the grammar school, but he's here in Geelong, and I do feel that Newman will be a really top-class ruckman in the league. He's showing so in the practice games at the moment even.
How's Polly shaping up?
Very good indeed. He's lost none of his juniors at all with the game, and I feel that he looks set for a particularly good season, as well as one other ruckman, a surprise man of yours too, Jack Dyer's favourite. He's really improved.
Who's this? Not the Brownlow medalist of 1960?
That's him, Lou.
Johnny
yes.
Yates.
Yes, I would say he's the most improved player we have on our list.
The atmosphere was electric at Adelaide.
What a great spectacle here at Football Park.
The Big V victorious, but in Perth,
The siren is gone. Western Australia are Australian champions.
Victoria versus Western Australia. The Big V may never face tougher competition.
Well, Jack, you've been through it all. You heard all the talk about the kicking. What do you think about it? After all, the drop punt is something to do with you, you know.
I'm very sorry about bringing it into football. As a matter of fact, now everyone used it, Ron. They said it was a crazy kick when it first came in, but now everyone's got hold of it, and they've made it very useful indeed. But I rather like the stab pass and also the long kicking of punt kicks and so forth. I think they're missing out of the game, Ron.
I thought Horry Clover brought that kick in.
I thought so too, Jack.
Jim Francis thought it was Horry Clover.
Did you?
I didn't. Jim Francis.
Jimmy Francis, did he?
Yeah.
Well, he wouldn't know. He wouldn't know Clover. I don't think he was in Clover's
Played
time.
against Clover.
Did you?
At Hawthorn.
Yeah, you never kicked a drop punt.
Started, yes, he did.
Give him one.
Must have been an
Yes, he
accident.
did.
Must have been an accident.
You want
The
it.
Baron, Alan Ruffin, you mentioned earlier, we saw the exponents of handball earlier, and we've been talking about what it was doing to the game. You mentioned just a moment ago you liked the handball when you were playing. Do you think it's the wrong way that football to be going at the moment?
Certainly don't, Ron. I think...
Lou said you never handball.
You never had past your life, Barrett.
I may not have passed to a forward.
I'd say you would. You had a shot in the back pocket one day.
And you were envious. It went through.
But I do think handball does make the game. Occasionally it's overdone, but it helps to create the loose player, and I think that it does give that little bit of touch in the time that we played.
What about the 2 umpire situation, Neil? Do you feel that that's a good thing for football?
Yeah, you weren't. I didn't think you were going to ask me about the game. I was just going to say that I think that the game has peaked. It's almost at its ultimate. I mean, we get when you see forwards tackling, that's marvellous. You know, everybody's got a defensive and an offensive game. Everyone's double-handed, double-footed, and the game's magnificent. I think perhaps a little bit too much handball. I think maybe if they gave a free kick, and a free kick was a fair income free kick, we could give some of the teams that are not quite up to it in their skills a bit of a chance. But once there's a landslide, now they can't stop it. I think the game is magnificent at the moment. And I think the umpires have done it too, the 2 umpires. They do get a bit confused. Skeeter doesn't agree. They do get a bit confused when they run into each other's territory. I know they're egotistical umpires, they have to be, and they think it's their game. They get a bit carried away, and one decision overflows into the other bloke's territory. But still, we do see some funny marking decisions, but I think it's cut out a lot of the Electronin process, Ron.
Right, Jack, your three players.
Yes,
One vote first.
I'm giving
Elbow, Ron.
one vote to Polly Farmer. I think he was one of the great ruckmans of the game.
My God, that hurt,
and,
Jack.
It's not in my era, of course, but I had to give it to Polly because he introduced the long hand passing, and also he's a beautiful kick too. They forgot about that. He was a beautiful half-distance kick to position. He also made about 5 rovers that I know of, made them into footballers, and one was Goggin. And I think you've got to give credit to a fellow like that. The second one I'm giving to Lee Matthews because he's won more games than any football I've ever seen in my life.
The rover.
And he's a rover, not a rover, he's a ruck rover.
Oh.
And I think that he's a marvellous footballer. He's got everything that goes to win premierships, that fellow, and I like him very much indeed. The other one is Whitten. I shouldn't be saying this because Ted knows it himself. But, he was one of the greatest all-rounders that I've seen. You could play him anywhere, but and he had that elusive something too, Whitten, that really goes to be magical footballers.
Right, Jack. Bruce Andrew, your 3. One vote.
I'm not going to go over those names that we've heard, the Barassis and the Farmers and what have you. I'll go straight into my 3, Ron, because I went for players who are all-rounders. You could play them anywhere. Number 1, Jezelenko. 2, Darryl Baldock, and 3, Ted Whitten.
How about that?
That's really putting it on the line. I don't believe you, but that's enough. You can't all agree.
Right, well, there it is, and Neil Roberts. I'm sorry, Alan Ruthven.
Yes,
I couldn't find a rover.
Couldn't find a rover?
You never could.
You didn't have to. The 3 best players.
But I wish I could have played.
in.
One vote I gave to John Nichols. I
to
wish
leave
I could have
yourself
played
out,
in his side. I think he was the
last
best
25
big
years.
man
You'd
ever.
have won 3 Brownlows, Alan.
And, well, that's problematical. But and I gave 2 to Ted Whitten. Well, you don't have to talk about Ted. Could play anywhere. And the greatest ball handler in the world, I gave 3 votes to, Darryl Baldock.
Oh, you're nearly the same as me.
Tell us about Darryl Baldock.
Oh, look at this bit of play. You don't have to tell about him. Watch him.
Well, Baldock, the whole thing,
Watch him.
He's a chap that could win a game off his own boot. He was clever, elusive.
He's beating Nichols
and,
there
Use that
too.
rule.
and also was instrumental, I would say, in St Kilda getting that premiership.
Neil Roberts.
Well, my apologies to a lot of players. Of course, the big problem is there's no lowest common denominator in this, Ron. It's always terribly difficult, particularly to Michael Tuck and to Jezelenko. And people look for different things according to their own taste. For his era, I thought that Bob Skilton was well ahead of his time. He did more in his era than any other player in that time, with the exception of one, who's my first vote. But looking for something that's missing in the game today, and that's consistency, I looked at Bruce Doull, because I thought Bruce was my second vote. One vote to Bobby Skilton.
Yeah, 2 votes.
To Bruce Doull, because of his sheer consistency and his ability to beat anyone in any position, and to consistently play so well, getting 30 possessions. And of course Ted Whitten, who enough's been said about Ted. There could be a lot more said about what he did off the ground. Not many people... but one thing about him, if he broke your ribs, he always drove you to hospital.
Okay, well, thank you for that, gentlemen. Now let's see what the tally says. After our commentators, 14 votes for Ted Whitten, 7 for Lee Matthews, 6 for Darryl Baldock and Bobby Skilton, 4 for Graham Farmer, Alex Jezelenko and John Nichols, and Bruce Doull scored 3 votes. So the player who scored the votes from our guest commentators tonight as the player of the World of Sport 25 years, Ted Whitten.
Now tell me, Mr. Whitten, Mr. Football, if you like, did you ever give some back chat to the little man in white?
Never talked to an umpire in my life, except to say good day.
Tell me, Teddy Whitten, Mr. Football, if you like, did you ever whack the enemy when the ball was out of sight?
Hey, you've got the wrong bloke. I only whacked him when the ball was in sight.
Teddy, E.J., it all sounds like football to me, to me. Teddy, E.J., it all sounds like football to me. Now tell me, E.J. Whitten, did you ever let one rip Did you ever help them lift their game by using the monkey grip?
Don't ask me. I wouldn't know a monkey grip from a squirrel grip.
Tell me, Mr. Football, was there a fight you'd ever miss? And didn't you give the gummy shark a hug and a farewell kiss?
No, not me. I was just trying to get the mud out of his mouth.
Teddy, EJ, it all sounds like football to me, to me. Teddy, EJ, it all sounds like football to me.
How's your finger? This is the big question which everyone is asking. Is it 100% okay?
Yes, it's quite okay, and it's not sore. It's just big. It feels much better than it looks. It looks a bit ugly, but I don't feel it at all when I'm bowling, except from the point of view of the size, and that does produce a rather unusual feel on the ball, quite a different feel. But it doesn't affect my bowling at all.
Well, I noticed your form was good today. It's pretty well up to standard. You were spinning it quite well. The wicket is helping a bit. You quite happy with your form?
Yes, I was very pleased, actually. The only things that gave way were the old legs. You must be getting too old, I think.
Well, you've joined the class, Richie.
Yeah.
Richie, the big question which is going around Sydney at the moment is that you're going to retire after this test. Is that right or not?
Well, I've been very interested in this myself, because in one paper the other morning I read that I was quoted as saying that I was available for selection in the last 2 test matches and all the other state games. And then I picked up another paper the next day and saw that I was going to retire after this game. In fact, I am available for selection all through the year, depending on the selector's whims, of course, and on my own form. But from a personal point of view, I'd like to play the season out because I like playing cricket.
Team at Hawthorn.
Club Corner now, time to relive the action down at VFL Park today with opposing coaches Alan Jeans and Mike Patterson talking to Lou Richards.
Alan, can Hawthorn play any better than they did today?
Oh, well, I suppose you always hope they can, but today we played rather well, and, we combined, and it's one of those days when you sort of hope and dream about, and everything went right for us.
Does it worry you that it was such an easy victory for you, because the boys could become complacent after that?
Oh, I don't think so. I think they realise what it's all about, and they know that football's from week to week, and it's a different set of circumstances next time we play.
Michael, I watched Richmond play 5 or 6 weeks ago against Collingwood. They looked $1 million. What has happened to the team, from your opinion as coach?
We've lost our real desire to actually win games, I believe, Lou. The fact that today Hawthorn really attacked us and we didn't fight back as hard as we should have.
Have the players lost a little bit of personal pride?
Yeah, you could say personal pride, but yeah, I probably go along with that after today, Lou. It's been a long day, but as Alan said, you win one, you lose one. We've got to come up next week and we'll restore our pride, and we've got to look at ourselves and look deeply, I think, at our reserves and look at our system and our style and the whole pattern and the whole construction of our playing team.
Well, how can Hawthorn improve their team? Or will you endeavour to improve it? And how will you go about it?
Oh, well, I think we've got some players to come back into the side, and in Wallace and Knights and Buckenara and these players, Polkinghorn. These are players who played very well last year, and we depended on them last year, and I suppose, I think I said it last week, that the big improver was some of the younger players coming through.
Well, how can you fit those players you mentioned into the side with these other players playing so well?
Well, I think it's up to the individuals. They realise that they've got to perform, and it just puts pressure on, and I think it makes it much easier for the coach.
Michael, the Richmond football selectors have come up for a lot of criticism about playing those 3 big guys on the forward line. You must be sick of it by now. But they're not the only ones letting you down. What is wrong with Morris Rioli in the centre?
Morris has been a little bit out of sorts, but I think, generally, we can't blame Morris, we can't blame our forward line, we've got to look at everything, though.
Yeah, well, you played him in half forward today.
Yeah, half forward.
Why did you do that?
First half, and then we put him in the centre. Well, we've been interchanging Morris and Peter Francis out of the centre for quite some time. And, we're just hoping that Morris will strike form.
After the game, did you ever talk to the players, and was there a big long conference or a coach's talk in the special room? And what did you have to say to the players?
No, we didn't say much to the players, Lou. I think it was on the board, it was there in the game, it was on the day. We did have quite a long discussion with selectors and everything afterwards, yes.
Alan, when a side wins as easy as your side did today, what do you say to the players after the game?
Oh, well, naturally, we're very pleased to get the 4 points. That's what you play for, and I think you have to be realistic. We played excellent for 3 quarters and worked very hard to run the ball all the time, and the last quarter was a bit disappointing, but credit to Richmond, they didn't toss it in. They could have quite easily. I suppose that was the only disappointing aspect of the whole day, was our last quarter where Richmond kicked 7 goals to our 4.
Alan, you're coach of the Victorian side. I know you don't announce the captain of the side until tomorrow, but possibly as an exclusive for the 25th anniversary of World of Sport, have we got a chance of knowing the captain now?
Oh no, I'm only one of the selectors and I wouldn't preempt anything at this particular stage. There's some wonderful boys that are, entitled to lead the state. It's a wonderful honour, and we'll decide on that tomorrow.
We'd like to thank you both for coming in tonight, because I know it's really out of your routine. It's a special night, the 25th anniversary. Once again, you've both been very cooperative ever since you've been coaches, and we thank you on behalf of World of Sport. Thank you very much, Alan Jeans and Michael Patterson.
And of course, Alan, we've got for you the Table Talk chicken, also the cheese from Ballantyne's, 4 and 20 pie, the Great Australian Pie. Also from Bruce Wilkinson, our very good friend at Monocraft, the embossed World of Sport diary, 25 years, so we do thank Bruce and Monocraft. That's something to remember us by. Also the windsheeter from Nissan, and of course the Grand Reserve champagne. Congratulations, Alan. Balak Pato, and of course we've got Barry Rawlings here. Played his 200th game for the Tigers today. Baz, well done. And Baz, unfortunately for the Tigers, not a win in your 200th game, but your own form today was magnificent. You must have been very pleased from a personal point of view.
Oh yes, Kev, I suppose I got a few touches, but it's a sad day for the Tigers, but as I say, we'll stick together and we'll come out fighting, no worries.
We'll bounce back, Lou, don't worry about that.
Right, let's check the voting in the Canberra Club Award from VFL Park today. Lee, Rawlings and Roach getting the votes for Richmond. Russell Green having a marvellous year. Peter Curran and Chris Mew for Hawthorn. Whilst in the Progressive, we see Lee, a handy leader at Richmond, and Chris Mew, a handy leader at Hawthorn. So that brings us up to date with the voting in the Canberra Club Award for both of those sides, and of course that is another popular segment, particularly with the players on World of Sport each and every week. Alan Jeans, as he mentioned, was one of the selectors who have been sitting down, knitting out the side, putting it together, and of course selecting a captain. One player who I'm sure is amongst those calculations is speaking now with Bob Davis.
Well, Michael, you are one of the leading contenders, even though you got a very nasty smack over the eye today. And I was sitting with one of the selectors, Ted Whitten, and he said, "Oh, I hope Tucky's going to be all right, but you're quite fit for Tuesday."
Yes, very good. Should be all right, thanks, Bob.
Should be all right. Now, the team goes away tomorrow evening.
Yes, tomorrow night, Sunday night.
How would you feel if you were captain of the state team, Michael?
Well, it'd be a very big honour for me because, as everybody knows, Lee Matthews is the captain of Hawthorn. He's one of the best captains I've ever been under. But as he said himself, it wouldn't be fitting if I got the job, because then he'd have to start looking at himself as soon as he's not in the side. So it'd be a bit of a worry for him.
Well, he might be having a great deal of, might be having a worrying night until it's announced tomorrow. We thought that your captain and your coach, Mr. Jeans, may have announced it tonight even, but he decided to keep it secret for a little bit longer. Michael, it was a magnificent display by Hawthorn today.
Well, actually, Hawthorn played very well today, and I think Richmond have beaten us the last couple of times, so we had to prove something today to ourselves, plus to our supporters, and I think we went out there today and we played quite well. And the funny part about it was they seemed to play better when I went off the ground, which could be a bit disappointing for me too.
I see. Well now, Michael, tell us about Tuesday. For you, it's a great honour. You're out training with them last Wednesday night. Did you get the feeling amongst the whole squad that the Victorians really wanted to win the game?
I think they are, Bob, because I was involved in the one that went over there last year and we lost by 3 points, and actually it was one of the best games of football I've ever played in. And the state of origin, it mightn't be, well, a lot of people say Victoria are losing nowadays, but they're starting to pick better sides, I believe, and I think that the people are looking forward to them more to be played. So I think that they get a better game of football and the players are keener to play in it because it's a close contest and I want to prove that Victoria are the best, which I think we are the best.
How does it feel? I don't know if you had any players from Hawthorn playing against you for Western Australia last year, but there are certain Victorians, of course, playing against you that you're... Is that a difficult situation to get over?
It is a bit. Actually, Gary Buckenara played for them last year, kicked about 7 goals, which actually played a great game. But when they play their game and we play our games, we're playing for our states, which when the game's over, it's over. But while you're playing the game, you play it hard. So they play the same as we play. So
well, Michael, I'm quite sure that you are going to be one of the leading parts of the Victorian team that plays in West Australia on Tuesday. We trust that you display the great form that you've got over here just at the moment.
And he'll possibly be captain too. There you are, Michael. The entertainments without any worry. You've got the Thomas Hardy Grand Reserve Champagne. You're a plumber by heart. You're a plumber by trade. And you're always travelling first class. You can put your plumber's tool in this magnificent Tosca bag. As we say at Tosca travellers are always first class, Michael.
He
God
can
bless
put
you.
his gear in to go to Western Australia.
Well, he can put his
can't
plumbing tools in too.
Okay, well done, Michael Tuck. One of the great contenders for the captaincy of Victoria to play against Western Australia in Perth on Tuesday.
World of Sport. Hope you can stay with us right throughout the night. One of the highlights of World of Sport in days gone by has certainly been our segment Beat the Champ. I'm sure many of you will remember it. Well, Beat the Champ is going to come back to us tonight, and so too are the champs of yesteryear. That's coming up a little bit later on. Well, to us here at World of Sport, he is known simply as Uncle, and I'm sure deep down many would suggest he is the godfather of us all here at World of Sport. Could we have a round of applause, though, for dear old Uncle Doug? Well, Uncle, it's nice to be able to take you out of your commercial area, which you've been in charge of for so many years, and get you over here just for a brief chat. Can we go on another 25?
There's no reason why not, Sandy, because World of Sport is part of the passing parade. And if you handle a passing parade intelligently, like a news or sport, it'll go on forever because it alters every week.
Now, Uncle, you've been in charge of live commercials. Now, we saw a few bloopers before, and I don't want to rehash any of them. But what about from your area? What's happened that's upset you at times?
Well, it's very unwise to get upset when you're handling commercials because you're handling sponsors' coin. You've got to get results from them, so you've got to keep your cool. But there was one time when Louis came in and he burnt the idiot sheet on me. I had an idiot sheet from which I read.
Cue card.
He just burnt the whole thing in front of me. And for some unknown reason, something snapped in me. And I chased him around the studio, and I tell you, if I could have caught him, I'd have killed him. Stone dead, yeah. But he was very evasive, very light on his feet.
You've done the job so well over a number of years. You've always been very light-hearted, but the sale of the product has always been the main thing in your mind.
Well, World of Sport wouldn't be here without it. Let's not kid ourselves. The sponsor's coin keeps us going. That's what commercial television's all about. And unfortunately, a few guys forget that. They worry how they look, how they sound, not what they're selling. And that's what you've got to worry about.
Uncle, let's have a look at some selling over the years. Take a look at these, and bear in mind, you with your can of spray, and look at it.
Is the best you can buy. And here's why. First, because it's discreetly perfumed. Second, it's doubly effective.
4 and 20. The great Australian pie. Watching Jezza take a screamer, or some bloke do his block. When the game is close and thrilling, and all eyes are on the clock. Watching Higgs bring home the favourite, or Stacky belt a 4. Watching Sharky throw some leather, and his opponent hit the floor. Now watching makes a fella hungry, so you know the thing to buy.
4 and 20 in golden pastry.
The great Australian pie.
I've been a Holden man now for many years, and I'm happy to add that for most of that time I've bought my Holden from Neil Nielsen. Sure, we're good friends, but like many sporting men with whom I'm associated, we look for a good deal. My present car is a Statesman de V, and I can say with all sincerity, a truly beautiful car.
No matter what sport you play, if you want to get the most out of your game, then you've got to get the most out of your body, and that's where Strive can help you. A new high-energy food made especially for sportsmen. Strive gives you extra reserves of energy because it contains a balanced combination of carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins and minerals. It mixes easily in water, unlike other energy foods. And and there's no doubt that it tastes great.
London Store's new deliveries of famous Strand suits are just in time for the racing carnival. Spring, summer too. All new styles, modern and conventional. Great new colours too.
Yes, Doug, there's French blue, earthbone and rust brown, just to mention a few. Every popular pattern, including checks and stripes, are there.
This season, you'll see more football and you'll read more football in the Sun. Well, my name's not Lou Richard.
Wardrop's suit clearance is now on. It's a bit hectic as Wardrop's reduce every suit in stock. Great value suits in wool and terraline, just $65. Elegant Hardy Amy's fashion suits for a low $125. Top fashion styles like mine, just $85. These are just some of the crazy suit prices during Wardrop's 10-day suit clearance. Wardrop's, city, suburbs and Geelong.
Come in here, I want to tell you. Moonlight bowling at Dennis Frankston with some great prizes. Shh, moonlight becomes you.
Hello, Ron. How are you?
How are you, Cousin Roy?
I'm well, and you know why I'm well?
Yeah, oh yes.
Over the weekend, I've been eating Hoadley's mini cars.
They're beautiful too. That
My
beautiful chocolate inside those crunchy. No, not the honeycomb. It's in the birdie beetles.
No. These are
Fruit.
got the fruit inside.
That's right.
Oh, they're so healthy for you too, Ron. They're beautiful. Have you seen the boys and girls? There they are on their own. They're a little mini car, and they're beautiful. They're a beautiful Hoadley's milk chocolate, and they're just filled with fruit. But when you buy them in the pack,
Only tuppence each.
only triple each. But when you buy them in the pack, tell us about those, Ron.
Well, 2 shillings worth, boys, and you get six of these, and also inside the packet, together with the 6, is a plastic real mini car.
Now look, will you get that heap out of here and take it over to your garage, man, straight away? Fair enough, I'll take your advice and get a Repco Gold Star engine fitted straight away. Well, you'll thank me for the advice too, so off you go.
Yes, just some of the commercials over the years, and dear old Ron having a close look at the last one, and he's still looking for those crunchy bits, aren't you? I don't know who's found them. Well, it's great to relive them. Now let's take a commercial break from 1984. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, hope you can stay with us. As I said, we've still got Beat the Champ to come on World of Sport tonight, as well as lots of other segments, and we'll also be meeting the modern day panel. Part of our guests, or some of our guests I should say tonight, are those people who've been involved in the Kelly Maxwell Olympic segment, which I'm sure you've been watching with great interest in recent weeks, because we've been picking out winners out of the barrel, and those winners have joined us at our World of Sport party and no doubt are enjoying immensely the Hardy's wines, so it's great to have them join us here on World of Sport. I think in fact we might pop out to the party because Ron's been sifting through our guests once again. Who have you come up with, Ron?
The one guy who's here tonight, Brian Rhys-Jones. Now, that probably wouldn't mean much to many of our viewers, but Brian was the original producer on the Saturday morning show, Brian. That's
right.
how it all started,
It's a long
wasn't it?
time ago. Do you remember what our budget was for 2 hours?
Tell me.
£120.
£120 for 2 hours on Saturday morning. It wasn't much more when it started on Sunday, is it?
No, I don't think so.
Brian, you've moved on to represent big companies
That's right.
in Sydney now.
I work for an American company now, supplying you with American programs.
That's right.
Lots of them, I hope.
Great to have you with us, Brian,
Thanks,
anyway. It was a great times. Now, I see Jack Elliott talking over here with Mr. Bill Stutt. Bill Stutt, chairman of the Moonee Valley Racing Club. Jack, come and join us. You were talking there a moment ago. We've had great times with Bill because of the fact that special segments we used to do leading up to the yearling sales. Bill was our advisor, wasn't he?
He was the guide, and he was the man, or in our car, we discovered Mr. Robert Sangster.
Yes, that's right, we did too.
We discovered Robert Sangster of Australia, yes?
Yeah, we did.
How did that happen, Bill?
We were driving along and we were talking, and it just came about. Jack knew him, and the next thing he was out here and he was right into Australian racing. They were great trips, those, Ron.
Yeah, they certainly were.
Yeah.
Actually, that day, there was Bill, Robert, Lou and myself. We were driving along. We ended up at a pub at Kilmore, and we had a pie and sauce and a beer, and Robert Sangster said, I've never had a better time in my life. We didn't at that time realise exactly how big he was or was going to be.
No, we did not. We should have had him when we had this photo taken. Can I show a photo,
Yeah,
Ron?
sure. Have you got one there?
Get that one?
That's part of the that's part of an exhibition of an expedition for World of Sport.
We all looked a trifle younger there and a little more inebriated.
Bill, you're doing a great job there as chairman of the Moonee Valley Racing
I
Club.
don't know about that.
Looking forward to the big meetings coming up.
Yeah, looking forward to a very good spring. hope to have a great Cox Plate.
I'm certain you will. Thanks for joining us
Good.
tonight.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks for
Jack.
great
I'll be back
laugh.
later with you. Now, there's a couple of guys over here. This is Jack Rennie and Tommy Hayfield. And I'll bet they're not talking football. Tommy, nice to see you with World of Sport again. You're one of our regulars. And Jack, good to see you back here.
Thank you very much, Ron. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, we missed Lionel tonight.
Yes, he's had a busy week with the National Aboriginal Week this week. I tried to locate him today, but they're so busy, Ron, I don't know where they is. But he certainly sends his regards.
Oh, that's great. Now tell me, what about young Brooks? I bet you, I guess you've been talking about that.
Talking about him, yes.
Because Tommy's a great boxing fan as well as a great football fan.
Well, he just asked me what I thought of him, his ability compared to Lionel, and I would say at this stage it's an equal go for go, Ron. I think he's going to go all the way.
What about all the controversy at the moment about whether he's going to fight Michaels or this new wonder boy Ellis?
Well, at the moment we're aiming for the Commonwealth title. Unfortunately, the fight with Barry didn't come off, but I think will at a later date. So at the moment we figure we'll be fighting Claude Noel for the lightweight championship of the Commonwealth on August 24th.
Well, that's great. Good luck with it.
Thanks
anyway,
very much,
Jack.
Ron.
And Tommy,
thanks very much,
you
Ron.
love the fight game, don't you?
Yes, I've seen many.
Now, in the last 25 years, during the period of World of Sport, who's your favourite fighter?
Maxi Carlos.
Maxi Carlos. Oh, that was a little before World of Sport. A little before.
It was too, yeah, 1950. Yeah,
it
that's
would have
right.
been marginal.
Well, we've seen Maxi, and I also saw George Bracken in our rooms the other week when we played up in Sydney, and we're just talking about the great fights that those two boys had.
What a great title fight that was. Maxi Carlos and George Bracken.
Yes, the three of them. Yeah,
well, I hope you enjoy the talk tonight
good
about
on you,
boxing.
Ron.
Okay, let me go down here because there's a guy I want to say hello to. And where is he? Here he is. Oh, and Dick Wicks is with him. Dick, may I say, thanks for coming in. And
Pleasure, Ron.
And it's great to see you. You've been a great help to World of Sport over the years. Appreciate everything you've done, mate.
Thank you indeed, Ron.
It's good to see you in action. Now, Merv Lincoln, one of our World of Sport commentators. Dr. Lincoln now, Merv.
That's right, Ron.
Congratulations on all
Thanks.
that. Now, I've got to ask you, mate, how is it that all the middle distance and distance runners are academics? Now, there's Dr. Lincoln, there was Dr. Bannister, graduate of Cambridge,
Herb Elliott, John Landy, a Bachelor of Agricultural Science from Melbourne.
Agricultural Science, and we've got Robert D. Costello, another scientist.
Yeah.
What is it? Why is it that the academics all turn to distance running?
Well, I think you need something to give you a lot of relaxation, Ron, and to run around the track and not having too much to show for it is very relaxing. I think it had something to do with it. You really had to have something that gave you a way to turn off from your studies. And
what do you
running
think about Robert's chances at Los Angeles?
Oh, I think they must be first class, Ron. It'll be a big thrill if he, of course, pulls it off for us.
Great to have you
Congratulations to you too, Ron.
Thanks very much, old boy. It's great to have you with us. I'm going to go across here. We've got some more members from the racing industry with us. Peter Lawrence from the Victorian Amateur Turf Club, Mr. Peter Armitage, Vice Chairman of the Victoria Racing Club. Peter, congratulations on what must have been a great carnival, the Grand National Carnival.
A great day, marvellous jumping and a tremendous promotion we announced for the future of steeplechasing. $200,000
That's right.
next year for Onkaparinga, Warrnambool and Flemington.
Oh, that's a great promotion.
So it's really the most exciting jumping promotion in the world.
We'll have more New Zealanders here, is that right?
You will, heaps.
And
well done, Peter, on that.
Yeah, congratulations. Very, very, very important. Great to have you with us tonight. Peter Lawrence from VATC, committee man there, and a very exciting announcement during the week in the sponsorship of the Caulfield Cup.
Yes, Ron, it'll be by far our largest sponsorship. Sponsorship's becoming very important. As you know, the English Derby was sponsored this year, and the 1,000 guineas and the 2,000 guineas. So the Foster's Caulfield Cup goes off next year.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Hope you can continue to enjoy the evening, gentlemen. Thank you.
Very much.
Back to Peter.
As I said, things can go wrong here, and they do. Right, welcome back to World of Sport in our studio. The party's obviously going extremely well. A number of people can't make it, but I'd just like to read out a couple more telegrams for you. Congratulations to you and the team for a fine 25 years in the world of sport. May it long continue. Regards, Phil Gibbs from ATV 10. Heartiest congratulations on 25 years of tremendous sporting television. All the very best for your World of Sport Silver Jubilee. That comes from kind personal regards, John Doherty, who's the man who's General Manager of ADS 7 in Adelaide. To Ron and all the crew at WAS, I might be a little biased, but after working with you since the first show, I'm convinced there's none better anywhere. All the best tonight. It comes from our good friend John Doby. World Bowls are taking place at the moment in Aberdeen in Scotland, and that is where John is. Ron Joseph has sent a letter of congratulations. Unfortunately, he cannot be here. He is interstate, no doubt, on a recruiting drive for the Northerners at the moment. Congratulations to you and all the boys on a fantastic achievement. Another telegram I find here. Congratulations on 25 years of sports world and entertainment, barbecues galore. To Ron and the boys at WAS, congratulations on reaching such a magnificent milestone. It's been great to have been part of such a wonderful bunch of blokes. Good luck tonight and for the future. Another good friend of ours in Colin Long. And Colin has popped over to St Andrews in Scotland. So as you can see, World of Sport does have its reporters floating absolutely everywhere around the world at the moment. I think at this stage we'll take a break because we've got the 1984 National Panasonic Handball Championship coming up in just a moment.
National Panasonic proudly presents the National Panasonic Handball Championship.
Yes, the action continues here with the National Panasonic Handball Championships. There's the toss with Bob Davis between Alan Jarrett and Peter Smith. Melbourne v North Melbourne. The toss has been won by Alan, who's put Peter into bat. He's going to fire first with Pete, the right hand. Okay, right hand first. We've got the Sherrin Footies at the ready. Bob Davis and his band are stationed down the flanks. Here we go. Bob with the first of the Sherrin Footies. Peter Smith firing. The national handball target. He starts with a 7. 2 for 14. Inconsistent at the moment, but he could do with a bullseye. 21. 7 again, can't quite sneak it in. He's got 1 to go with the right hand. And no, 7's all down the line for a first round total of 35. So, Alan Jarrett, who's certainly become well known to us on World of Sport, particularly in this segment, will fire first with the left hand. Al's going to use Sherrin Footy. Bob, let's go. 35 he's chasing. 7. Another 7 for 14. And cannot quite sneak it in, so he's continuing a similar trend. 21. That's better. He snuck that one home for 31. Yes, Jack. And again, so a couple of handy ones there for Alan Jarrett as we go into the first break with Alan Jarrett leading 41 to 35. 1 plays 35, favouring Alan Jarrett. So Peter Smith of North Melbourne. Pete, a bit of pressure on. Let's see what you can do with the left hand. Now, KB's keeping score, so let's hope everything's all right. He has been reinstated, I might add, to our score sheet. 42, another 7, so he's had 7 sevens so far. Oh, no, a little too high for a 5 to take his score to 54. He's got 2 to go. Another 7 for 61. And let's see if he can finish on a ball. No, he can't. It's 7s all round apart from 1 5 for a complete total of 68. 68 to Peter Smith. So Alan Jarrett is on 41. He'll fire now with the right hand. Okay, Bob. Let's see what Alan can do. Ooh, a little too low. The decision was 5 for 46. Now better on target. 56, 3 to go. 66. This is the Alan Jarrett we know. Yes, for 76. And the way he scoots. Oh, Alan Jarrett. What a way to finish. With 4 bullseyes, 86 plays 68. And another good performance from the Demon Star, Alan Jarrett, who's having a great season. Let's go to the presentation area now and Bob Davis.
Well, bad luck, Peter. Hey, he's fired up very well, didn't he?
Not bad at all.
I believe that you're both proteges of Mr. Jordan. Is that correct or not?
Yes, through Rose under 19s at North.
Yes.
Yep.
And the handball, is that part of his teachings or not?
Maybe for Alan, but not for me.
Not for you. Or you didn't pay attention. Is that what it is, Peter? Well, it's a big game for you next Saturday, Alan.
Yes, at Geelong. Yes,
Yeah.
they're all important at this stage because we're vying for a place in the 5 and Geelong are in the same situation, so it's got double importance for both sides.
Have you had a nice holiday with Ron?
Yes, we have, but we'd love to see him back on Monday and we're looking forward to it.
Are you looking forward to seeing him?
Yes.
What about you, Peter, now, next week? What about your game?
Oh, we play Collingwood next week and confident of winning.
Confident of
Even
winning?
though there's only 2 on the board at the moment.
Yeah, but there is plenty of time for it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Well, Alan, you certainly treated us. What do you think of the handball? Did you see it early?
Yes, I did actually. Yes, I was barracking for Ron, but it was good to see the boys in action.
I thought you'd be barracking for Caves. Anyway, look, congratulations once again. It was magnificent. There's $100 from National Panasonic for you and 50 for you, Peter, and we'll see you later on. Well done, Alan.
The National Panasonic Handball Championship was proudly presented by National Panasonic.
Come in World of Sport, the 1984 panel, and of course Beat the Champ and plenty of other segments as well. Well, it'd be impossible to squeeze all the people we would have liked to invite tonight into anything short of the MCG. Jockeys, cricketers, footballers, champions in a dozen assorted sports. They've been the lifeblood of this show for 25 years. And when they can't come to us, we're delighted to have the chance to go to them. Tonight, Essendon is staging a gala auction at the Regent Hotel in the city, and it's in their midst that we find Stephen Phillips.
We're up here at the Regent Hotel where Essendon are holding a big gala auction night, and with me I've got their #1 ticket holder, Andrew Peacock. And Andrew, we heard from the Prime Minister earlier. It's a very rowdy crowd up here.
I hope you can hear, and I hope other people can hear, Steve, yeah. They've got every right to sing, you know. They've done very well today.
Big 62-point win, wonderful.
Yeah, it was marvellous. Almost as good as your 25 years.
Well, World of Sport means a lot to different people. Have you grown up on World of Sport?
Virtually. I was a university student when it started, and you know, I've been following Essendon for a longer period than that. But it was, you know, every weekend it still interrupts the household. I have to say to you, only 2 out of 3 daughters watch with me.
Well, 3 Liberal Prime Ministers have been our guests. Perhaps you'll be the 4th.
As Prime Minister, I'd like to be, but I was the guest nearly 10 years ago, as a matter of fact. After Leilani won the Caulfield Cup, I came in, but it's been 10 years between drinks.
Well, with us, we've got Greg Sewell, the President of Essendon. Greg, I'm sorry you couldn't be with us tonight. We're more than pleased to come and be with you here.
Well, we're sorry too, Stephen, because what we would like to say at this particular point is congratulations to Channel 7. They've made a tremendous contribution to sport, but football in general. And to you, Ron, and all the boys at Channel 7, congratulations, and we wish you all the best. And we're only sorry that we're not there tonight, but we are having a hell of a night here. But good luck to you. And I think, fellows, if we could just sing right now.
Just before he does, Steve, isn't he marvellous to be able to say that perfectly? About 3 minutes ago, I drew a raffle for $10,000, and whose ticket did I draw but the President's? So you can tell why he's just over the moon.
Over to you, President.
Well, thanks very much, Andrew. And I want to thank you for drawing that ticket. It was part of a syndicate, but nonetheless, there's a few bob in it for me. But, fellas, if we could take this opportunity and congratulate Channel 7 on their 25th anniversary, and I think we could just sing happy birthday to them. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear 7. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks for being part of the action tonight.
Right, thank you, Stephen, and I'm glad the boys are taking on football full-time because their singing did leave a smidgen to be desired. I think we might take the opportunity of a break and talk racing when we return.
For the first time in BFL history, St Kilda won the Premiership in 1966. And didn't the Saints love it? Our cameras stayed on for the celebrations. The tune is familiar. The singers, Cowboy Neil and a very young Carl Ditterich.
Well, racing at Flemington today, Grand National Day. Darren Gauci rode his usual winner. It took his tally to 64, but perhaps not enough now to peg back the record held by Roy Higgins. Darren, you probably can't make it now with 4 city meetings to go, and you're 9 behind the record.
Yes, I'm 9 behind the record now, and looks impossible to really catch Roy Higgins' record.
Will you be pretty pleased about that, Higgs?
Oh, it's got to go by the wayside soon, Keith. Really, Darren, unfortunately for that bad accident you had with your arm, which you were out for convalescent, 6 weeks, wasn't it?
Yeah, about 6 weeks.
The thoughts of possibly being the first jockey in Victoria to ride 100 winners in one season, that certainly won't be in the far distant future, the way you've been going at present?
Well, if things keep going the way they are, there's an opportunity to racing's a funny game, as you know yourself.
No?
No.
Darren, at World of Sport's party tonight, we've had faces that have been on this program for 25 years. Your face hasn't been with us only a few months, really, perhaps 12 months. I suppose that you never really imagined that you would have been challenging the record of Roy Higgins only 12 months ago.
No, it's happened so quick. Everything's happened very quick. I've had the opportunity of Mr. Cummings and Mr. Murphy to achieve this, and really thanks go to them, and also my master, Mr. King.
Darren, your winner today, few benefits. You had ridden the horse on his 2 prior starts, I think for a 4th at Flemington and 2nd at Kilmore, I think, wasn't it? Did you think really that the horse could have went out in a field of that capacity today and ability and won so easily?
Well, I think he's a horse on his day, and today he did perform his best and he won very well.
In the 2-year-old race, Darren, the place getters came down the outside of the track. We see here a few benefits now. You're perhaps on the outside of the inside bunch, if that makes sense. You're racing on the crest of the track.
Yes, well, I drew barrier 9 and I decided just to stay out there. I thought there was on today particularly, it was a good part of the track, and well, the horse seemed to race better outside horses, and you know, as it goes to show, he went on and done the job very well.
Well, watching him go to the line there, it certainly doesn't look like a horse that was beaten at Kilmore at his past start.
No, he doesn't.
It was a good effort and well trained by Bart Cummings.
Yes, he is. Mr. Corson's in charge at the moment. He's doing a great job.
Right.
Darren, come the end of this season, where I think a few weeks ago when you were on Channel 7 here with us, I stated that in 1931 Harold Skidmore was the last apprentice to win a premiership. I think it's been proven now that I was wrong on that day, and probably a lot of other people were wrong, that it was the late Vic Slee in 1921-22 season at the age of 15 actually won the premiership as an apprentice. So
and you were there.
That's 62 years since that happened, Darren, so it's been really a great feat on your behalf.
Darren, we'll see you again in 2 or 3 weeks when you win the Jockeys Premiership.
We certainly have so, Darren. From Ballantyne's, you got the roasted peanuts. From Thomas Hardy, the Grand Reserve champagne. And also from Nissan, that's their company tie, really great. And the Caulfield Football Club, because you've helped them so much in sports nights, they love you have that Caulfield Football Club jumper. How about that?
Good.
And you've also got the Australia 2, the official record book, which is a great publication. I'm sorry, Darren, we poked your eye out then. I couldn't help that, mate. You're so short. And also from 3DB, the Punter's Diary, which is a great big deal, on sale now for $29.
Thanks very much.
We've been talking to Darren Gauci, Victoria's Premier Jockey.
Where are you when you deal with a firm that's been in business for more than 25 years? New Oakley Motors. And where are you when you're surrounded by what would have to be the best selection of one-owner Falcons in all of Melbourne? XC Falcon one-owners, XD Falcon one-owners, and XE Falcon one-owners. New Oakley Motors, the top team for Ford, on the corner of Ferntree Gully and Dandenong Roads, Oakley. That's where you come for the keenest used car deal in all of Melbourne. They'll give you an immediate valuation on your present car, no obligation, and show you how the changeover to your next car can be easy and suit your budget. So, whether you're 18 or 80, come in. New Oakley are keen to do business on a nice, clean, one-owner Falcon or any one of more than 100 excellent used cars now in stock. Where are you going?
New Oakley Motors. They're the top team for
LMCT 414.
Well, now, we come back to our wood choppers because right, well, now, this is slightly different from our normal wood chopping event. Not exactly an exhibition, because it is a competition between two very famous brothers, and the O'Toole family, of course, over 25 years of World of Sport have been synonymous with this particular event. The late Jack O'Toole was the man that really helped us get the thing launched, and John, it's great to have you with us tonight. Now, your two brothers, Martin O'Toole and Lawrence O'Toole, are going to compete in a most unusual form of event. This is the hard-hitting competition.
Yes, it's a hard-hitting, Ron. It's an event where the number of hits it takes to cut through the log is the important thing.
That's the important thing. The number of blows the axeman makes to go through the log.
Yes.
Okay, now Martin is the world champion at the standing block.
Yes.
And Lawrence is the world champion at the
underhand.
At the underhand. Right. Now Martin's going first. I hope you're going to do the counting, are you?
I'll try.
Right. How many blows will it take Martin O'Toole, world champion at this event, to go through that log?
Should be around about.
Well, we won't say too many. We'll just let them go, and we'll just see what how the viewers match it at home. Right, Martin, when you're ready. How many blows? What about everybody counting?
That'll help.
Everybody counts. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 for the turn is the 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 hits to break through. Right, now, Lawrence O'Toole. How many for him to go through this log? It's the same size?
Same size log, Ron. Watching Martin, it's pretty firm wood, so...
Firm wood, and it's 19 hits for Martin. Lawrence, away you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He's opened it up well.
6.
There'll be 2 more hits.
7.
We'll go round.
8. Round he goes on the count. On 8. 9. 10.
1 and 1 in the back. He's made
11.
a bit smaller because he's
12. 13. 14. 15.
We'll be looking at this will be it.
16. 3 for 16. Lawrence O'Toole, 16.
Well, that was a pretty good shot. They're firm logs, and it's about what you'd expect them to do.
Well, that's really something. What about a hand for our 2 world champions, Martin O'Toole and Lawrence O'Toole?
Time now to check the Holden leading goal kicker. At the end of season 84, Holden proudly awards the leading goal kicker $3,000. But first, a prize of $100 for you each week in the Holden Who Kicked It competition.
And our winner this week in the Who Kicked It competition was Norm Hooper of Broughton Road, Surrey Hills. Norm, you are $100 richer because you correctly named Rod Ashman of Carlton as the player who kicked it last week. Now, have a look at this piece of play and tell us quite simply who kicked it. It comes from Windy Hill. And who kicked that one? We'll let you have another look at it in slow motion. The Bombers had a fairly good day. All you've got to do is put it on the back of an envelope and send it to Holden, who kicked it, 7 Sport, Dorcas Street, South Melbourne 3205. Our leading goal kicker at the moment now is Bernie Quinlan, who has cleared away after 4 goals today to 67 ahead of Paul Salmon and Brian Taylor, the main challengers. So we shall take a break, be back with more on World of Sport. Beat the Champ is still to come and much, much more, so stay with us.
In Europe, company cars bear prestige names. Australia is long overdue for its own world-class company car. At last, it has one. With refinements like warm cloth seats, FM stereo, automatic transmission, power steering, and an optional new fuel-injected engine. World-class Holden Commodore Executive, a new breed of company car.
And just before we go any further, I might add Beat the Champ is just around the corner, but I'd just like to read a few more telegrams because they have come from the length and breadth of the country on behalf of the entire sporting department at BTQ Brisbane. Best wishes and congratulations on your 25th anniversary of World of Sport. That's from 7 Sport up there in Brisbane, and they hopefully will be busy tomorrow with the tennis, which you can see exclusively on 7. Glenn Kinging from ATN 7 Sydney writes, on behalf of everyone at ATN, may I take this opportunity to offer you our best wishes and congratulations for a milestone in television. 25 years of World of Sport on HSV. Sorry we can't all be there, but we're already planning a package tour to be there for the 50th year of World of Sport. Thank you very much, Glenn, for that one. To Mr. Ron Casey and the World of Sport team from Westpac Banking Corporation in Australia, congratulations on achieving your silver anniversary of World of Sport. This magnificent world milestone for the longest running live television production is a credit to yourself personally and all concerned at Channel 7. We at Westpac are proud to be associated with World of Sport, and we wish you well for tonight. Okay then, I think at this stage we might have a little bit of a look at Goal of the Day and just see who comes up trumps in that one.
World of Sport Goal of the Day is proudly presented to you by Midas Muffler Shops.
Goes on to the left.
All right, let's check some of the goals, and first up, Robert Diffie Domenico of Hawthorn.
360, swings in towards goal, it's long and it's good. Great goal, Diffie. His shot goes
John
straight
Kennedy.
up in the air, given over the top, and it looks like Kennedy who fires, and goal. He is there, he goes short.
John
over
Kennedy
the top of
again.
Kennedy traps it beautifully, steadies towards goal, it goes over the top and straight through. Another one to the Hawks.
Peter Curran also had a good day for Hawthorn. Here's one of his.
Long shot at goal, and this will be okay too, I should imagine. Yes, another goal.
Under plenty of pressure from Morris.
Now Dale Waitman of Richmond.
Now Waitman
He was
can
their
go
top
over the
scorer
top
with
to
3.
ball in the square. He does go over the top, and at last the Tigers
Go back to Russell Green.
Russell Green now,
taking it
Hawthorn.
very easily, Hawthorn, as he has a shot for goal. It's a long kick, it's a beauty, a goal. Oh, how about that for a kick, Sandy?
To the Bombers and the Lions, Gary Wilson.
Wilson snaps towards goal. It's a nice looking kick from Gary Wilson, and he brings up his first goal.
For Essendon, Terry Danaher.
Umpire was Coleman, couldn't take it, picked up by Danaher. Danaher snap, it'll be a great goal, I feel. A wonderful goal by Terry Danaher. Back to Barwick.
League leader at the moment, Bernie Quinlan, is on top of the goal-kicking ladder.
It's a lovely goal from Bernie Quinlan.
It's out to Watson.
Now Neagle down the flank.
Forward pocket, a difficult shot at goal. It's going well, it's going close, it's going through. What a good goal.
And completing the goals today, Brad Gotch of Fitzroy. Smallest player in the league.
Shoots toward goal, it's coming back a little bit. But
And to the great goal kickers who'll decide this award, P. McKenna. Pete?
Thank you, Sandy. Well, they weren't the normal high standard, Kev, were they? But only 2 games, so I suppose you can expect that. Which
Yes.
ones did you like?
Well, Pete, I liked Merv Neagle's one right from the boundary line. The ability to sort of steady himself and put it right through the centre, I thought was an excellent goal. Also like Bernie Quinlan's. I thought that Bernie also right from the boundary line. They're not easy to kick from there. But I must say I must stick with the Rovers because I thought Bradley Gotch's one in that last quarter. Just weaving, dodging, getting around on the left foot. And of course he was under pressure and he still had to watch the ball right onto his foot. And I thought it was a great little goal.
Well, Kevin was a great goal kicker. So were you too, Jack, in your day too.
Yes, when you look at that one, the goals were kicked by Quinlan. I thought Quinlan was a beautiful goal. I watched that one. It was really
He's a
good
great
goal.
kick, isn't he,
it was a
Bernie
good kick.
Quinlan?
Also, Nagels was a good goal, but I like Gotch's. I was a bit with Kevin here when he weaved his way through the packs and did a great job.
Well, you're both very good judges because we as a panel have judged that Bradley Gotch wins the $100 for the goal of the day, and of course Bradley's goal, here he is, little Bradley for Fitzroy, a good little battler as he shrugged off a tackle there. Now he does a little balk, swings around, has a casual bounce onto that left foot. He's a beautiful kick for goal, and he puts it through, and Bradley Gotch's goal will go into the Midas Muffler $5,000 goal of the year.
World of Sport Goal of the Day was proudly presented to you by Midas Muffler Shops.
The years, if one segment took the attention of more people than any other, then more than likely it would be the segment Beat the Champ. Beat the Champ finished simply because the contestants were just too good and the competition flew straight out the window. But we have got Beat the Champ and the Champs back together tonight. I'm sure I don't have to ask our studio audience for total silence during this next segment, because the answers and the questions must be quite clearly heard. To our adjudicator, Ron Casey. Ron?
Well, yes, Beat the Champs began in the early 60s and continued right until March of 1976. Among the sporting whiz kids in the early days were the late Fred Cardwell, Peter Dyke, Graham Lucas. There's also Dr. John Fraser, who's with his brother Neil in Brisbane on Davis Cup duties tonight. But we've invited three in for tonight's little exhibition. Not exhibition in the sense that they know the answers. At least they may know the answers, but they're certainly not aware of what the questions are going to be. And the three are, of course, Chris Crawford, reading from the left, Chris Crawford, Fred Ford and Charles Burnett, all winners over various times, and these were some of the guys that used to finish up every year in the final, and we just couldn't get the questions hard enough. However, gentlemen, it's nice to have you back with us tonight. My problem is I've got to work with electronics. I couldn't work them back in 1976, and I don't think I've improved very much. However, you can't hear me now.
I can.
You can. You're supposed to, and that's all I need. 5 questions for you, Chris, and here we go. Name the place getters in the men's 100 metres sprint. That's the track event in the 56 Melbourne Olympics.
Bobby Joe Morrow of USA first, Walter Thane Baker of USA second, and Hector Hogan of Australia third.
Right, that's correct. Second question. A former VFL club captain kicked a goal with his first kick in his first game in 1964. He played on in a Premiership side, was a best and fairest winner. He represented Victoria, yet he didn't kick another goal in his entire 168-game career. Can you tell me who it was?
His first game was 64.
64.
And is he a current VFL captain?
Oh, no. I will pass you on that one.
No.
Right, tell me who were the two men, one Australian and one American, who figured in the controversial finish of the men's 100 metres freestyle final in Rome at the 1960 Olympics.
John Devitt of Australia and Lance Larson of USA.
Right, 2 out of 3. Which Davis Cup stalwart has played the most rubbers for his country? Not a current player.
Yaroslav Drobny.
No, it's not. A Test cricketer who holds the record for the highest score by a player carrying his bat through a Test innings. He made 223 not out, and at the age of 22 was also the youngest to achieve this memorable feat. You know who this was? The name of a Test player holds the record for the highest score by a player carrying his bat through a Test innings. 223 not out. The age of 22 was also the youngest to achieve this feat.
No, I'm not sure. I think it could be Lawrence Rowe.
No, that's not the answer I wanted. Right, let's move on now to Fred Ford. Fred, you got the same 5 questions. Do you hear me all right?
Yes, right.
Okay, the 3 place getters in the men's 100 metre sprint at the 1956 Melbourne Olympics.
Bobby Morrow won it. Hick Hogan, I think, was third.
Have to pass you on
I
it?
can't.
Okay, I know we're all a little bit rusty, but it's old time night, and that's what we're here all about. There's no holding special as the prize tonight. A former VFL club captain kicked a goal with his first kick in his first game in 1964. He played in a Premiership side. He was a best and fairest winner. He represented Victoria, yet he didn't kick another goal in his entire 168-game career. His name? I'll move on.
Guess at David Parkin.
No, not David Parkin. Who were the two men, one Australian, one American, who figured in the controversial finish of the men's 100 metres freestyle final in Rome in the 1960 Olympics?
John Devitt and Larson.
Larson's correct. Which Davis Cup stalwart has played the most rubbers for his country?
Jaroslav Drobny.
Not Drobny. I want the name of a Test cricketer who holds the record for the highest score by a player carrying his bat through a Test innings. He made 223 not out, and at the age of 22 was also the youngest to achieve this memorable feat. It was?
Carrying his bat through a Test innings, did you say, right?
Yes, 223 not out.
Doug Walters?
No, it was not. Okay, the score there is 1 out of 5. 2 out of 5 for Chris Crawford, 1 out of 5 for Fred Ford, and now Charles Burnett. Right, here we go. Charles, name the place getters in the men's 100 metre sprint in the 56 Melbourne Olympics.
Bobby Joe Morrow, Zane Baker, and Hick Hogan.
That's correct. A former VFL club captain kicked a goal with his first kick in his first game in 1964. He played in a Premiership side, he was a best and fairest winner, and he represented Victoria. And yet he didn't kick another goal in his entire 168 game career. His name?
64. Wish I knew the club. No, I just can't tell you.
Okay, move on. Who were the two men, one Australian, one American, who figured in the controversial finish of the men's 100 metres freestyle final in Rome in the 1960 Olympics?
100 metres freestyle. John Devitt and Larson.
That's correct. Which Davis Cup stalwart has played the most rubbers for his country?
Would be Davidson.
Who?
Davidson.
No, not Davidson. The name of a Test cricketer who holds the record for the highest score by a player carrying his bat through a Test innings. He made 223 not out, and at the age of 22 was also the youngest to achieve this memorable feat. His name?
Glenn Turner.
Glenn Turner is correct. And the answers that were, we had the correct answer, Morrow, Baker and Hogan for the first. The VFL club captain who kicked the goal was Frank Davis of Melbourne. The two men, one Australian, one American, Devitt and Larson, we answered that. Davis Cup stalwart who played the most rubbers for his country, Nicola Pietrangeli of Italy, 164 in 66 ties between 54 and 72, and you answered the Test cricketer who was Glenn Parker. So we have Charles Burnett with 3, Fred Ford has 1, Chris Crawford has 2. We'll have another 5 questions for a bit of fun in just a moment. Right, Chris, you've got 2, and we've got 5 more questions. Who is currently the longest serving captain in the VFL? Longest serving captain in the VFL.
Lee Matthews.
No, it's not Lee Matthews. Which cricketing great played in the most successive Test matches? Has played the most, or did play in the most successive Test matches?
Rod Marsh.
No. Who did Borg beat to win the first of his 5 Wimbledon titles? In the first title won by Wimbledon, won at Wimbledon by Borg. Who did he beat?
I'll say Jimmy Connors.
Not Jimmy Connors. Who was the only playing coach, I stress playing coach, at the time to win the Brownlow medal?
Norman Ware.
Norman Ware is correct. June 1960 and Victoria is beaten by Tasmania in Launceston for the first and only time in interstate football. Who led the Tasmanians?
Stuart Spencer.
Stuart Spencer is correct. Right. Let's move on now to Fred Ford. Fred, who is currently the longest serving captain in the VFL?
Lee Matthews.
Not Lee Matthews. At least not the answer that I've got. Which cricketing great played in the most successive Test matches?
Successive tests. Colin Cowdrey.
Not Colin Cowdrey. Who did Borg beat to win the first of his 5 Wimbledon titles?
1976. Roscoe Tanner.
Not Tanner. Who was the only playing coach, I stress playing coach, at the time to win the Brownlow medal? The only playing coach at the time to win the Brownlow medal.
No, I don't know, Ron.
Okay, and June 1960, and Victoria is beaten by Tasmania in Launceston for the first and only time in interstate football. Who led the Tasmanians that day?
No, I don't know that either.
Okay, let's move on to Charles Burnett. Charles, you were the leader after the first round, and Chris Crawford has 4, so you need 2 of these to win in our little party game on the 25th anniversary of World of Sport. Who is currently the longest-serving captain in the VFL?
I'd say Schimmelbusch.
Wayne Schimmelbusch is correct. Which cricketing great played in the most successive test matches? Most successive test matches.
I think one time Sobers did.
I need your answer.
I'll say Garfield Sobers.
Garfield Sobers is correct. 85 from 1954 to 55, 71 to 72 seasons. 54, 55 to 71, 72. 85 successive test matches. Who did Borg beat to win the first of his 5 Wimbledon titles?
Wouldn't be Newcombe.
It was not Newcombe. Illy Nastasi was the player. Who was the only playing coach, I stress playing coach, at the time, to win the Brownlow medal?
1941, Norman Weir.
Norman Weir is correct. June 1960, and Victoria is beaten by Tasmania in Launceston for the first and only time in interstate football. Who led the Tasmanians on that day?
Spencer.
Stuart Spencer is correct, and Charles, you finished with a score of 7 out of 10. Chris Crawford finished with 4, and Fred Ford finished with 1. By golly, the old master hasn't lost his
They're
touch.
still good, Case. Noted about that, they're still good, and Chris, Fred and Charlie, I'd just like to say we haven't got a 1976 Holden for you boys, but there's a bottle of Thomas Hardy Grand Reserve champagne. How about that, fellas?
Thanks very much for coming in and
Big
playing
hand,
the
ladies
game,
and gentlemen.
and it's great to see you all again.
Welcome back to World of Sport. We've still got the 1984 panel to make their appearance on the program tonight. And also, I think it's time to have a look at the VFA situation. And to do that, the smiling, ever-smiling Freddie Cook. How are you, Freddie?
Well, I'm sort of well, Sandy. This is my 25th cup of coffee for Warwick, and I know you're a bit worried about me in here at 10 to 12 Warwick, but as soon as I finish this segment, I'm going straight under bed, and I will be there early for the match tomorrow at Geelong West. But VFA is very proud to be associated with World of Sport's 25-year Silver Jubilee anniversary, and hopefully we'll be around in 25 years' time when they can celebrate their 50 years. But Warwick, as soon as I finish this coffee, as I said, I've got about 45 minutes of VFA reporting, but I will cut it short. We are running a bit late, and I do have to get to Geelong West tomorrow. I think we'll straight away have a look at the Mitsubishi Motors ladder, and leading the ladder at the moment. We aren't going to have a look at the Mitsubishi Motors ladder at the moment. It looks like we're going to have a look at the games. Can we have a look at the ladder, or shall we go straight in the games? We will have a look at the ladder. Yes, we will have a look at the ladder. After 11 rounds, we've got Geelong West on top of the ladder. They've been there all year. Preston with 9 wins. They're playing a low profile at the moment. They're a chance to go and win back-to-back premierships. Sandringham, they're looking consolidated in the 4, sitting 3rd. And Port Melbourne must win tomorrow to hold 4th spot. Campbell, with a win tomorrow, they have a chance to climb back into the 4. Williamstown, Coburg and Frankston, I don't think they've done enough early in the season to make the 4. Springvale making a big impact in their first year in First Division. Paran, it was a great win over Port Melbourne last week, and Werribee and Dandenong, they're hoping for better things next year. Tomorrow's round 12, we've got Campbell at home to Williamstown. Well, if they win Campbell, a chance to go into the 4. Stevenson, I think, is the key to their forward setup. With a bag full of goals, they should beat Werribee. It was a good effort last week against Williamstown last week when they only lost by a few goals. But I'm going for Campbell. Williamstown and Frankston looks like being a very even game. Will be a great duel in the centre bounce with Kim Kershaw and Peter Geddes, both in form in the ruck there. Williamstown look a lot stronger around the packs with captain and coach Cherry Wheeler, Larry Simmons, a very good rover. they can get the ball down to Spud Dullard in the pocket, and Mark Fotheringham has kicked 73 goals. I think Williamstown win that match. Preston are at home to Coburg. Well, out of the, I think they'll be out to avenge their loss in the first round of the season, Preston, when Coburg beat them by 10 points. They've got a good running back line. And up forward, they've got Tony Russell across from Collingwood, who kicked 10 goals. And, of course, Shane Hull is playing very well at full forward. Coburg, well, Coach Phil Cleary must be pulling his beard out by the handfuls at the moment, because it's a great effort to beat Geelong West by 7 goals. And last week they were beaten or thrashed by Sandringham by 11 goals. But because of Coburg's indifferent form, I'm going for Preston. Sandringham at home to Springvale. Well, Sandringham are desperate to grab second spot on the ladder. The key to Sandringham's form, of course, is their running players, getting the ball down to Ian Morrison and Ross Brewer. They kicked 19 goals between them last week. If Laurie Fowler can come up with the players to nullify these two key forwards, half a chance. I'm going for Sandringham. The match of the day, of course, is Geelong West at home to Port Melbourne. Well, they're back in business after a loss a fortnight ago, Geelong West. Their prime movers, of course, are Leo King in the ruck. They've got two great half forwards in Mark Brown and Nichols. I don't know why he's not playing league football, and I'm getting the wind up, and I won't be very long, fellas. Port Melbourne, they should bounce back after a shock loss to Paran last week. It was only complacency, but the inclusion of Jason Love, who's signed with Essendon, Mark Rodder back from Richmond, and of course Peter Carter has been one of our better players all year, and Graham Clark has been in top form in the reserves. It'll be a great match. The Sunday press tip is Geelong West in tomorrow's paper. The last match, Dandenong at home to Paran. Well, Paran were undermanned last week, and against Port Melbourne, they won because of enthusiasm. They had a go all day, and if they do the same tomorrow, they should win easily. And selections only, I will consider second division a lot next week for those children that wrote those 23 letters in. Morty Alec at home to Caulfield. Their third, I'm going for Caulfield. Kilsyth to defeat Sunshine. Oakley are fourth to defeat Berwick. Brunswick are second on the ladder to defeat Waverley. I'll go for Waverley next week, kids. And Box Hill at the top of the ladder to defeat Moorabbin. North could have a bye, and we'll see all the scores in the 7 National News at 6 o'clock tomorrow.
This report on Aussie rules, the game, is brought to you by Westpac, the bank. The biggest names in football have gathered to analyse, argue, adjudicate and articulate on the World of Sport Westpac Footy panel. Introducing Richmond's 310-game living legend, Captain Bloodjack Dyer, a Premiership captain and coach who's broken more than the big stories over the last 50 years. His sparring partner from Collingwood, the game's only multimedia mega rover, a 250-game veteran and Premiership captain, Lou Richards. He was christened Peter Patrick Pius Paul. But to all, he's Crackers Keenan. His career spanned 213 games with Melbourne, North and Essendon, and can well have been more, but the odd rush of blood. Over 237 games, the Swans' longest-serving captain, Bobby Skilton, earned the respect of both friends and foe with his skill and courage. He backs his judgment with 3 Brownlow medals. In 193 games, Peter McKenna kicked his way into the history books with 873 goals, the 4th largest tally ever. He was renowned for his accuracy, a boast that still applies. From vigorous pupil to master ruckman, that was the path Sam Newman took over 303 games with Geelong. The white boots and blonde tips added colour to one of the most competitive big men in the game. The Geelong flyer, Bob Davis, helped change the face of football as Premiership coach of the Cats after a brilliant career that saw him play 188 games and win all Australian selection. And in 1984, we introduced the longest-serving player in league history, Richmond's 403-game champ, Kevin Bartlett, a man more than capable of matching wits with the greats of the past. Once again, these men will cast votes for the $15,000 World of Sport Adidas Award, the richest in football, with $10,000 to the winner, $3,000 to the runner-up, and $2,000 to the third. Carlton, one of the world's greatest brewers, are proud to award $2,000 to the 1984 Brownlow medalist. And from Canberra TV, an AWA 22-inch Thorn colour TV set and a Thorn video cassette recorder to the Coach of the Year. The most illustrious names, the biggest prizes on the World of Sport Westpac Footy panel.
Right, gentlemen, we've had the introductions, so let's get straight on with the first match. Fitzroy and Essendon, Peter McKenna. Tell us about it, Pete. Hawthorn. Sorry.
Hawthorn and Richmond.
It's getting very late.
Well, it's a little bit difficult to talk about this one because we're not sure whether to give the big raps to Hawthorn or whether Richmond were all that bad. But this game started off with 2 goals in 2 minutes by Hawthorn, and that set the pattern for the game because they got that run-on game going. There's Loveridge. He's just one of those medium-sized players, and they had players like Swab and, of course, Mew coming down for centre-half back, Curran on the half-forward line. All these guys around about the 6'1" mark who just bore in. Richmond, on the other hand, they only had, well, 2 real good goers for the game, and I refer to Mark Lee in the ruck and Barry Rollings playing his 200th game. But how Richmond, there's Roach taking a mark. He tried hard, Michael Roach, but the ball didn't get down to him enough. But how Richmond could let those Hawthorn players run loose, 50 metres loose, in fact, many, many times with no one picking them up, it beats me. If that's what modern football's about, then Richmond have a heck of a lot to learn.
Sam?
Just could you tell me, how can they justify keeping Taylor in the side if they put him on the bench when he's meant to be their prime forward?
I'm glad you asked that. I think Richmond have to make a big decision, one way or the other. They have to either clear Michael Roach or Brian Taylor, or whichever one they clear is up to them, but they'll get a lot of money.
Take this for Taylor.
Well, I think I know Collingwood are looking for a forward. I reckon they'll have to clear one. They do not play well on the ground at the same time. They cannot play 2 full forwards in the one side.
I think Richmond are making a lot of criticism of their 3 big men up forward. That's Jess, Taylor and Roach. But there's another player not doing too well in the centre, that's Riol, and that's one of the prime reasons why they're not winning so much or going so well. He was the creator, but he's not creating any longer.
Louis, would you dump him and put him in the second?
Well, I would never dump Maurice Riol because you don't dump champions, but I think something's got to be done about him because he's not playing well enough.
Well, he should be put in the game more. He showed in the last
they played
quarter.
him half forward today, which was ridiculous.
They should let him be a ruck rover or a rover.
But we're blaming those 3 guys all the time. He's wearing the famous number 17 jack, and at the moment he's not living up to it.
Lou, could you please give me your votes for that game?
I certainly will. I gave 1 vote to Chris Mew, and there's no doubt this fellow's the best centre-half back in the league. He's had a great season. 2 votes I gave to Curran, had the best day he's ever had since he joined St Kilda. There's no doubt this young fella's got a great future with Hawthorn. Who did I say with?
St Kilda.
I mean Hawthorn.
They play next week, Louis.
And of course the top player on the ground, Russell Green, hasn't looked back since he joined Hawthorn from St Kilda. A magnificent performance, probably the most prolific kick-getter in the business.
Right, thank you, Louis, for those votes. After this break, Bob Skilton will be back to look at the game between Fitzroy and Essendon. Right, welcome back to the Westpac Footy panel. Bobby Skilton, tell us all about the game between Fitzroy and the Bombers.
Well, the more I see of Essendon, Sandy, the more I'm sure that if there's a repeat performance of the grand final between Essendon and Hawthorn, the game will not be a repeat performance because Essendon are a very disciplined and very good side. Fitzroy were disappointing. They just... Robert